Good morning, good morning. Just setting up the stream. We are live on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram today. I have been demoted to just 2 channels on my streaming service. So, hey D. Waiting for it to kick in here. Guys, let me know if the music is too loud. Thanks, babe. I love a good thrift store. Pretty much everything I own now is from thrift stores. Okay. Let's reconnect. Hey, there we go. Okay. Yo, okay, what's up, my friend? Hello, everyone, and welcome. Let me just get one more minute here to make sure that I've got both YouTube and Instagram functioning properly. Oh, hold on, my warm thing to drink. Anybody else savor the very last of their coffee? Just sad at the thought of it being gone and recognizing that having a second cup is probably not a good idea. That's where I always find myself at the end of my cup of coffee. I have 1 cup of coffee because if I have more than that, it shows. But I always dismay at the very end. Dismayed. What a funny word. Dismayed. So to be made is happy. If I'm dismayed, right? I'm disappointed. So to be made would be not disappointed. There's somebody I follow on here who plays really great word semantic games and definition games and like digs down for the etymology of things. I should probably contact that person and be like, dismayed, let's do dismayed. Kitten? Give me just a second and we will get started here shortly. Okay. You can just hold the cup the whole time. It's not the same. It's not warm. Maybe if I had like a warm cup, a self-warming coffee cup. Why don't we have self-warming coffee cups yet? I feel like that's... Okay, enough about my coffee. More about your belly. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello. For those of you new here, my name is Reverend Deborah. I am an interfaith minister. I am a movement facilitator, movement in breath, body, and being, and I am your shenanigan shaman. So do not expect to take yourself too seriously here. There's a lot of places in the world where you can go take yourself very, very seriously. This is not really one of them. Do we talk about serious things? Yes, absolutely. But we also recognize the flexibility that is available to us, the opportunity that is available to us when we meet things with a little bit of curiosity, with a little bit of playfulness. Good morning, Mullet Cookie. Good morning, Ree. Hey, everyone. So, I know we didn't get the mudra on Monday. Those of you in the Discord did get to see the mudra on Monday for the week. But it is not one that is very easy to put together. So, good morning, Judy. Hey, Vada. So this week we are working with our solar plexus. Where's your solar plexus? Your solar plexus is located between your belly button and your sternum, the base of your sternum. So this area here is your center for will. This is the area of I act. I express my will out into the world. It is from this center that we build self-esteem. It is from this center that we experience a sense of autonomy, or the other end of the spectrum. Feelings of shame, feelings of victimization, feelings of weakness, feelings, again, this area. So last week we were talking about the sacral chakra and about healthy boundaries. This is the area where we either learn to steamroll other people's boundaries and our own, or we remain fluid. We remain without those boundaries, right? So we can have an imbalance here in the sacral chakra and still have a healthy solar plexus. It's just not getting as much energy as it could be, okay? So remember everyone, this is a dynamic system. Your energy system is a dynamic system. So just because you have an imbalance here or here or here doesn't mean that the whole system is off center. And remember that your system shifts, that your system adjusts itself, that your system changes throughout your day, much less throughout your lifetime. Yeah, Vada, fantastic. So the sacral mudra, the Svadhisthana, the sacral mudra, the Svadhisthana mudra last week was a lot of fun. It was the mudra for adaptability, and my son also really loved it too. He saw me doing it. He's like, what is that thing? So we did that one last week. So this, my friends, are you guys ready for another funky, twisty mudra? This one should be, I say that tentatively, should be a little bit easier to get into because it doesn't require your hands to be like this and twisted. But remember to honor where you are. We don't build trust with ourselves by barreling through our edges. We don't build a healthy sense of personal power by being too aggressive with ourselves. Yes, finger transformation time. Remember that mudras work by redirecting the energy channels in the body. So it is recommended that you sit for a minimum of 5 minutes with your mudra. If you're new to the practice or it just becomes uncomfortable for you, whether physically with your hands holding the mudra or somewhere else in your body. Sometimes our mudras can get things moving in a way that is unfamiliar to us and can also feel uncomfortable to us. Again, I invite you to honor where you are in this moment and be gentle with it. When you find discomfort, when you find tension, offer it compassion, offer it a little bit of love, a couple of kisses, and either return to the practice if it feels okay to do so, or pause the practice, release the mudra, and place your hands up or down on your thighs and just breathe for a few moments. And you can return back to the practice when you're ready. We are not in the business of creating a battle within ourselves. We are not in the business of pushing ourselves. If we create a battle within ourselves, it creates tension. And that tension will manifest in the physical body, in the mind, in the energy body, in the emotions. You have seen it. If you are under stress, that pressure gets released in all sorts of ways. So let's sit for 5 or so. We'll do like 5 to 8 minutes. We'll add a little bit of visualization. Sorry, friend, I don't go live with people I don't know, but please send me a message about going live another time. Do you know how many people I say that to on a regular basis? And I can give you absolutely this many of them have actually messaged me and said, I would love to go live with you because of this. So my guess is it's either like trolls spamming or people just coming in and to do what's it called? Those battles and things like that. I don't know. This is not the space for it, friends. Okay. We will talk more about the solar plexus a little bit after. Remember that if you cannot close your eyes for the meditation, if you can at least do the mudra, do the mudra. If you can't do the mudra and you can't close your eyes, you're in the middle of driving and you're just listening in, you can still catch this sweet, sweet vibe just by hanging out. Okay? So Are you ready? Are you ready? This is a two-handed mudra. This is the mudra for your solar plexus, your Manipura. Yes, the yellow one, the Manipura chakra. Okay. It's going to take me a second. This is the first time I've actually directed people I can't see to do this mudra. So, with your hands out, palms facing down, they don't have to be all the way out there. Lift the middle finger on your left hand. Hey, angel heart, good morning. Lift the middle finger on your left hand, okay? Raise it up. Bring your right index finger to slide over your left index, under your left middle, and the pad touches the left ring finger. You see how it creates this kind of bridge here? Let's go back one more time. Lift the middle finger of the left hand and bring the right index to go underneath, slide underneath the left middle. Now, curl your left middle over that right index. So you should look like so. Bring your right middle, curl it over the left index. Okay? So your middle pieces here should look about like this. We'll do it a couple of times, don't worry, okay? Then from here, you want to bring your ring fingers to touch, pinky fingers to touch, and thumbs to touch. Bam. This is the Manipura chakra mudra. This is the solar plexus mudra. So, you guys ready to do that again? Who's got it? If you got it, you probably can't text. I guess you could poke with the thing. Me. Okay, let's do it again. Ready? Solar plexus mudra, Manipura chakra mudra. Lift the middle finger, me too, Jenny. Lift the middle finger on your left hand. Slide the right index underneath the left middle. Make that little bridge there and curl. Hey, Bridget, curl down the left middle finger. Okay, lift the left middle finger. Slide the right index underneath. Curl your left middle finger over top. Curl the right middle finger over the left index. Thank you, babe. Bring your ring fingers to touch. Bring your pinkies to touch. Bring your thumbs to touch. If this is too tight, loosen your fingers a little bit and make some space. Look at that. You can make all kinds of space. Do what feels appropriate for you as close as you can get this. If you cannot get the mudra all the way, do the best that you can. The most important tools, guys, what are they? Your intention and your attention. So once you have your Manipura chakra mudra, you hold that right here at the solar plexus. So this week, I have been experimenting with holding it this way versus holding it this way. When I'm laying down, I very much like holding it like this. I find when I'm seated up, this is a little bit better. Maybe because it allows my elbows to hang. So experiment. Explore this mudra. Hold it at your solar plexus. So again, your solar plexus is about from the base of your sternum, right where your diaphragm is, to above your belly button. So if it feels better to hold it a little higher, hold it there. If it feels better to hold it a little lower, hold it there. Try not to drop it below the belly button because we are working with the solar plexus. However, if it sits in your lap, you'll be just fine. You will still get the benefit from it. So, y'all ready to slide into a little meditation? We'll do a little bit of visualization with this meditation. And again, I want to remind you, if visualization is not really your cup of tea, remember that you can employ your other senses. You don't have to see an image in your mind to receive the benefit from visualization. It is about your intention and your attention. So while we are visualizing certain things, I invite you to tap into how it feels or how it sounds, or maybe if you notice any tastes or any colors, right? Like that's another sight thing, but you get the gist. Yes, just focus your attention on the intention of receiving the benefit from this meditation and from this mudra. All right, hold on to your Manipura Mudra. Bring intention to your mudra. Hold your mudra with intention. No tension. Release all tension. Go ahead and close your eyes if it's available to you, and we will take 3 deep breaths to fully arrive for our practice. Inhale through the nose, pull the breath in through the lungs and all the way into the belly. And sigh it out. Inhale again, lifting the heart and elongating the spine. And let it go. Inhale once more, expanding the ribcage in all directions, front, sides, and back, and then hold at the top. Fill your lungs to full capacity, and then take in just a little more air. Hold. And release. Go ahead and seal the lips. Gently tuck the chin so your head doesn't float away with itself. And begin inhaling and exhaling through the nose only. Now we're just going to take a few moments here to follow the breath. Allow the breath to be your anchor in this moment. Letting go of everything else except for the breath. You're not even paying attention to your mudra right now. No visuals. You're just paying attention to the breath. Again, employ your senses. Pay attention to the feeling of the breath as it moves through your throat. The exchange of warm and cool air on your upper lip. Listen for the sound that it creates. Can you taste your coffee on your breath? Or maybe just morning breath? Focus all of your attention on each inhale and each exhale. Inhaling your intention, your attention, inhaling the present moment, and exhaling all tension in the breath, in the body, and in the being. We're going to take several breaths here. Really focus on releasing tension from the body. We sit upright with intention, not tension. We hold our mudra with intention, not tension. We breathe with intention. And anytime we notice tension in the breath, we give it more of our attention and let it go. Tension in the breath can be just a little bit of a skip, or it can be a sudden feeling of shortness in the breath. If your breathing pattern is a little bit too long, it can cause you to kind of feel like you're gasping for air. So speed up your breath just a little bit. Find a comfortable rhythm. Find what works for you so you're not feeling out of breath, but you definitely want to slow your breath from a typical breathing pattern. And you want to focus on those full, deep breaths. If your mind is extra busy today, offer it some compassion. Remember, we don't build trust through force. And in this vulnerable space, it is important that we meet ourselves with compassion, gentleness. So any bit of tension, meet it with love. Let it go. Any distraction, any thought, let it rise and fall just as naturally as your heart rises and falls on your breath. Everything matching with the rhythm of your breath. Check in with your mudra, bring intention back to your mudra. A lot of times our mudras will collapse when we move our attention away from them. So bring your intention back to your mudra, give it a little bit of your attention, and then return to the breath. You can stay here in this part of the practice as long as you would like, just paying attention to the breath and holding the mudra. If you would like to add a little visualization, I invite you to imagine that there is a ball of yellow light right here underneath this mudra. If the mudra is not already touching your body, go ahead and bring it into your body so that it is in the solar plexus region, which is above the belly button and below the sternum. Anywhere that feels comfortable for you is fine. And if visualization is not your thing, then just focus your senses in and see what experience arises for you. Focus on the bright yellow light emanating from your solar plexus. And as you breathe, watch as it grows brighter and brighter, bigger and bigger, expanding all around your mudra, your torso, your body, maybe even filling the room that you're in. Allow yourself a few moments, several breaths, to breathe your light brighter and bigger. Anytime your mind wanders off to something else, just bring it back gently. Stay with the breath. Stay with this light. Feel free to notice any sensations that arise. There may be warmth in the belly. You may feel kind of undulating or other kinds of movements. You may feel pops. You may hear things, any manner of whatnot that comes up. I invite you to notice it, but do not attach any stories to it. Do not try to hold on to it. Let it rise and fall on your breath. Grow that big ball of light, warm in your belly, bright, expanded all around you, buzzing with energy. Buzzing with power. Infused and infusing you with divine prana, life force, as it manifests into creation through this chakra, our center for will. Imagine your will as this bright, healthy, warm ball of light. Recognize the power you have to affect your reality, your inner and outer reality. Allow yourself to be the sun in your own universe. As this ball of light expands around you, if you would like to add a little more to visualization, I invite you to imagine your universe manifesting around you. Allow it to arise within your mind's eye and fill in the spaces or leave them blank. Your universe may be sparsely populated. Maybe it's very dense. I don't know. It's your universe. Let yourself be the sun, bright, warm. Feel free to stay with this part of the practice or any other part of the practice that feels good to you for as long as it's available to you. When you feel complete, I invite you to take, again, 3 deep breaths. This time, breathe in that light. Inhale, pull the breath through the lungs and into the belly. Sigh it out. Inhale again, lifting the heart and elongating the spine. And let it go. Inhale once more, expanding the ribcage in all directions, front, sides, and back, and hold at the top. Feel that bright, powerful sun emanating from within you, filling your entire being with that warm power. And exhale. Go ahead and release the mudra slowly, gently. Your fingers have been a little twisted up. And bring your hands either into prayer or simply lay one over the other over your heart in gratitude for this space, in gratitude for this practice, in gratitude for this magnificent meat bag that we get to drive around in this lifetime, that gives us the ability to realign, balance, heal, and nourish ourselves and each other. Offer yourself some gratitude for taking the time for self-care. I hope you know how worth it you really are. And thank you so much for joining me today and cultivating this safe space where we can learn and grow together. Thank you. When you are finally ready to come out of meditation all the way, please do so slowly. Offer yourself some wiggles, some stretches. If it's bright where you are, you can always warm your hands a little bit. Cup them over your eyes and flutter your eyes open before blinding yourself. Alicia, you need to practice stillness. You feel like you can't stop moving and fidgeting. One of my favorite ways to begin the practice of stillness, of mindfulness, is really just to bring your awareness. Practice your way with your intention and your attention. In fact, start with your attention. Hey, Leah. Start with your attention. Where does your attention go? Oftentimes when we are fidgety and jumpy and moving around and whatnot, it's because our body has this excess energy that needs to be expressed, and we are trying to do lots of things at the same time. Our brain has this laundry list of to-dos, and we're never going to get them all checked off. A constant doer state of being. So, bringing your awareness, bringing your attention into the present moment is one of the most powerful and simple things that you can do. But how, you say? But how? Pay attention to your breath. Start with your breath. Bring your attention to something that's hurting. Maybe you're fidgeting, right? Maybe you're fidgeting around because your low back is uncomfortable, right? So you're trying to kind of move and keep it, make it feel better. So bring your attention instead to that area. Maybe even put your hand on that area. You can also look around the room for every color. One of my favorite things to do when I am in the midst of a PTSD episode is to look for the colors in the room. I will go from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and I will find all the colors that I can see. And I bring all of my attention into it. We are so used to scattering our attention among many things. People, tasks, thoughts, distractions. And in that way, because the brain cannot fully function on several things, if we give all of our attention to a singular thing, then we use the full capacity of the brain. Well, not really, because we're not even using the full capacity, but you get my point of how much we usually use. But when you divide your attention, even just on two different things, you are no longer using the full capacity that is available to you. So mindfulness is about reining your cats back in and basically teaching them all how to come and sit on the rug, right? How to come and sit together. Hey, it's time for meditation. It's like teaching kindergarten or a preschool class. It's time for meditation. How the hell do you get 30 kids to sit down and be quiet for 5-10 minutes of meditation? Sometimes it seems impossible. And it's definitely not. It feels impossible if we haven't done it before, if the kids haven't done it before, if the environment is not really conducive to it, right? This can describe our inner reality. My parts of self, the frustrated part, the to-do list part, the feeling depressed part, the anxious part, all these parts are operating within me, trying to keep me safe. But they themselves are not very good at meditation. I had to teach them mindfulness. I had to teach them meditation. And it was like herding cats at first. Mala cookie, oh no. Oh, Vada, I also heard you say there that it felt like your solar plexus had a heartbeat. Something else is driving the meat bag 50% of the time. Yes, you know who is driving the meat bag 50% of the time? You, still. But maybe not your highest self. And when we take responsibility for the fact that we are always, some version of ourselves is always driving the meat bag, is always in charge of the meat bag, then we rest that responsibility back where it belongs. We waste a lot of energy and a lot of our time reaching out for other people to satisfy our needs or give us what we want or help us do things or carry things for us or help us change. But no matter what you learn or receive outside of yourself, it always comes down to you to be the person to make those changes, to be the person to make those decisions. But you cannot take that power back if you are arguing for not having it. Argue for your limitations, and indeed they are yours. One of the biggest issues that we see with the solar plexus is that victim, self-blame mode. Because this is our center for will. And if when we were young, so this chakra, the solar plexus chakra, develops between the ages of 18 months to about 4 years. Think about what is going on for children at that time. Searching for autonomy. They are testing boundaries. They're testing their limits and yours, right? This is the time when our solar plexus is developing. And depending on our experience in our lives during that time, our solar plexus, sacral happened last week. Stop trying to say sacral. I'm still working on my self-talk. Your solar plexus will settle in to the best manifestation that it can muster based on your experiences. So if you were repeatedly thwarted, your sense of ability to do things on your own was repeatedly thwarted, maybe you were coddled or you were shamed, right? There's many ways that this can happen where our natural sense of I can do that on my own and I'm going to experiment with it and I'm going to find a way to be successful with it. This is the natural process for our development, which a lot of us end up having that process thwarted to some degree. Now, I'm not coming from any place. We're not working from blame. We're not trying to tell a story about it. We don't need to hear the story about it. What we need to do, what not need to do, you can do whatever you want. What we have the opportunity to do now in the moment is to take care of, to rebalance and reparent our solar plexus. Sometimes I like to imagine the different chakras as a self from that stage. So if I am dealing with my 2-year-old self, 3-year-old self, if I want to address trauma from that stage, those stages in life, I'm going to address my solar plexus chakra or that chakra and the lower chakras underneath. Because that's when this figured out how to settle, how best to keep me balanced. So for those of you who are new here, I just want to remind everyone this is what we call our CAYA space. CAYA. It stands for Come As You Are, because we do invite everyone to show up authentically, show up as you are. The one thing I ask is that we treat each other with a sense of curiosity. We approach each other with a sense of curiosity and willingness. Not from a place of arrogance, not from a place of assumption, not from a place of judgment. If you struggle to manage your behavior and your actions in a way that makes you feel like it is okay for you to be inappropriate, I guess, right? In this space, if you show up with judgment, if you show up with arrogance, if you show up with there are many places for you to be in the world. And I invite you to choose somewhere that doesn't cultivate tension within you. Because we recognize that what drives you to come into some other space that you don't agree with and create tension there is tension within you. So this is an opportunity, if you find tension within you, to look at that tension for yourself rather than playing victim and blaming other people for your tension, right? That is all about your solar plexus. Bridget, what'd you say up here? You need a journal on this. There's so much trauma, manipulation, and repression. So a lot. Again, a lot of us have these lower chakra traumas, and it's really just by the nature of our culture. And we don't need to play the blame game. We don't need to point fingers at anybody. We can just acknowledge that every generation has to heal a little more than the last, which means that your parents had stuff that they didn't get to heal yet. And that's your opportunity now. If we will create tension and we will remain stuck in a victim mode if we keep looking back and pointing fingers at people behind us, at situations and things behind us. Hey, Arrow, thank you. Oh, on the ages of chakra formation. Okay, so root chakra is from birth to about 6 months. Solar plexus chakra is from about 6 months to 18 months. Solar plexus chakra is from about 18 months to about 4 years. These stages of development also align with child development theory, our social emotional development, our cognitive development, our physical development. It's really amazing. This was one of my favorite parts of doing this work, of studying this stuff, was when I took my understanding of energy work and brought it to child psychology classes, child development classes, because it's a beautiful, beautiful alignment, and they fell right into place. And I was like, of course, Erik Erikson was talking about autonomy versus shame and doubt during this stage. Yes, thank you, Gigi. I move with change on all the platforms you hang out. Best places to follow me, however, is on Patreon. That's where you're going to get all of the information for all of the things that I do. There's also membership levels too if you want to access replays. June 1st, replays on YouTube will go to a membership level. So if you're interested in that, you can go to Patreon, or you can just subscribe here on TikTok as a side note. Sorry, I missed a couple comments and I wanted to keep up. It's like the book 4 agreements, all the agreements we took on and we didn't agree to. So this is the enculturation process. Again, this is why I go back to saying there's no need to blame, because it's the same enculturation process that your parents went through and their parents went through, but it shifts with each generation. It changes a little bit as each generation heals and expands and evolves a little bit more, right? Thank you, Gigi. The link for my Patreon page is in the bio. I am on @MoveWithChange on Patreon. Your brain doesn't even come online, dude. We are in the theta brainwave state. Theta brainwaves, that's the dream state, up until the age of about 8. While your chakras take the same amount of time, about 25 or so years for your full development, your chakras go through all those stages with all of your other layers of development. There is a first 7-year period that we go through, and it accounts for our initial. So let me explain this, because again, the energy system is a very dynamic system. So for those first 7 years, we touch on each of these chakras, and by the time we become 8, we wake up. Your brain goes out of theta brainwaves, and you become fully conscious. But your prefrontal cortex doesn't even finish developing until your mid-20s, along with the rest of your body, along with your chakra system, energy system, along with your social, emotional development and cognitive development, like all of these pieces. Vada, 8 was when you moved to America. A lot of people in coaching, I have found that a lot of people will have big events and things that happen during that time. And again, it's just simply by nature of the fact that like you really are coming online. So most of us, and again, because of that, I want to really invite you to shift your perspective and see the gift in this. We are all born these pure beings of experience. We have no reference for time. We have no reference for memory. Our brains don't even really formulate memories unless they're very intense or traumatic at those very early stages. Based on your internal and external experience of your world, of your reality. Your body, your energy body, your mind, your breath, your digestive system, all learns how to respond. That is what is happening for the first 25 or so years, is you are just figuring out how to respond to this reality as you experience it. And that, honestly, is a gift. Without me being even consciously aware, this magnificent being was built. Right? User, I'm going to go ahead and mute you. This is not the place, but you can feel free to go troll elsewhere, my friend. I know it's fun. I know sometimes people like to just do that, and that's fine. You said that you like to. This is not the place for it. But you're welcome to hang out and listen in. You might receive something interesting, or you might not. So, That process is fucking beautiful. That process is done without you even being part of them. Exactly. I still love them. We can still love you. But just like a toddler jumping up and down and screaming when the adults are talking, right? At some point, we have to shift the situation so that the toddler is not disrupting everyone else. So when I say that, again, I'm not talking from a condescending place, not calling you a toddler. What I'm saying is that the behavior is indicative of toddler-like behavior, which usually comes from imbalances here, here, and here. Your lower 3 chakras. Because these are when we were supposed to be able to be absurd, ridiculous, loud, creative beings. Many of us did not get that experience. Many of us were thwarted in our first several years of development. And again, yes, some of us experienced genuine malice from our caregivers and from the world. But you don't even have to experience that to receive trauma, receive imbalance, to develop imbalance here. Yes, Vada, I was just talking to my son about this yesterday. So one of the manifestations for an imbalance, a deficiency in your solar plexus is tantrums, is to throw temper tantrums. So I explained to my son yesterday, one of the things that I do when I am not feeling heard is to raise my voice. And I explained to him yesterday how my parents raised their voice about fucking everything, like damn near everything. There was always yelling, right? And it was mean yelling, and it was all sorts of other things, like degrading, shaming, all that stuff. Now, from that, I still carry forward the need to voice myself loudly. Am I working on healing it? Absolutely. We are always a work in progress. But when I spoke to my son yesterday, I said, I bet you probably won't ever really yell at your kids. You probably won't ever really feel like you need to raise your voice, because that is how we support the growth, generational healing. So, some questions for your solar plexus chakra to define whether or not you're imbalanced. Again, like I said, most of us have imbalance, so you're probably going to nod your head yes to some of these things. Yes, Jenny, growing up around yellers. Yep. So, questions. If it feels difficult for you, does it feel difficult for you to express your feelings freely, which means appropriately, which means in the moment, which means without blowing them out of proportion or without hiding them and compartmentalizing them and letting them come out sideways elsewhere, right? Do you have a hard time recognizing and reaching your goals? This is about our center for will and our ability to accomplish things in this life. Our ability to turn our ideas and feelings into actual action. Actual action? Yes, actual action. Action. Do you give in to others too easily? Again, the sacral chakra was about healthy boundaries, but so is the solar plexus. If you have a hard time accepting criticism or overly criticize others, you have an imbalance in your solar plexus chakra. If your emotions take over and get the upper hand and kind of control your will, guess what that looks like? I have an imbalance, right, Vada? Yeah, me too. So, we know that an imbalance or an excess in the sacral chakra can be emotional dysregulation, right? All over the place, emotions all over the place. So what does that look like in the solar plexus? If I have an excess in my sacral chakra and my emotions are totally dysregulated and highs and lows and all this shit, it absolutely affects my will. Absolutely affects my ability to express my will, my emotions, my voice, which we work on later on when we get up here, but this is part of being able to express yourself. We were just talking about yelling. I feel deficient here. I'm going to need to raise my voice to feel more powerful. I want to remind you, this is a dynamic system. So the issues, again, as we were just talking about, feeling some of these symptoms here does not just mean that this one's out of balance. It can mean a combination of other things. What are the other things? Nightmares or insomnia. Thank you, friend. If you experience nightmares or insomnia, especially if they're victimizing nightmares, being chased, being attacked, feeling powerless in your nightmares, that kind of night terror sort of stuff. Vada, I do too. I struggle a lot with my sleep. And when I do finally sleep, I oftentimes have night terrors, and I've had since I was a kid. This is one area where I personally am doing a lot more work still. So anxiety also happens here, right? Anxiety is our feeling that we aren't powerful, or we're afraid that we can't support ourselves or protect ourselves, or we're afraid that something might happen that might trigger us. Thank you, Gigi. Yes, for the reminder. There are lots of places that you can be in this world. If this is not your place to be, you're welcome to be elsewhere. Stomach issues. These lower chakras are all about your gut. Your sacral chakra being imbalanced or deficient is gonna make it hard for you to absorb nutrients. This is your center for nourishment. Hey, Fran. Your solar plexus is gonna deal more with your stomach, gallbladder, liver, this kind of like beginning processing of your digestive system too. Vada, is it a thing? See? And here's my question. As soon as you say that, I want to ask, why are you drawn to that? What energetically is drawing you to that? Potentially, here is one thing that I noticed. I frequently chose partners who had an excessive solar plexus chakra because mine felt so deficient. I wanted to be in that energy. Guess what that meant? Hey, Star Muse. The excess energy is someone who is overly aggressive, egotistical. You're dealing with narcissists, power hungry, power driven, arrogant, hypercritical, hyperactive, isolates from other people, has an entirely secret world, potentially even things like sociopath and that kind of stuff. Like the excessive solar plexus chakra combined with an excessive sacral, you're dealing with aggression you're dealing with a lot of aggression, a lot of anger issues, a lot of physical aggression, including, and the drive, the intense drive to overpower others. This is one I see it so much, again, in our culture. People so severely imbalanced here, feeling such a lack of will, because an excessive solar plexus is trauma to this here. Trauma here, we can respond to trauma by fight or flight. Your chakras do the same thing. Do they push or do they retreat? Does it retreat? Nikki, I'm so glad you arrived. That's why I go live, friend. Yes, D, we will get to the 8th chakra. Yes, see PTSD. So CPTSD, I think is really, again, specific to the solar plexus and the sacral chakras. So let's review one last time, not one last time, because we'll talk about it again and again and again. Your root chakra is your I am center. This is your state, this is your space of feeling grounded, supported. This is your right to exist. If you have trauma in your root chakra, you may feel like you don't even know if you have the right to exist at all. You don't feel like you know really who you are. You might feel very ungrounded. You might also respond to root chakra issues by pulling your energy up. Many of us do. Pull it up from these lower chakras because we have this early trauma in a time where we don't have the capacity in our brain to deal with it. It gets stored in the body. And that can be hard to deal with when we talk about going to therapy and talking these things out. It's very hard to reach these things through talk therapy. Okay, so let me try to get to some of these comments. So irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, you're dealing with imbalance here in the solar plexus chakra. That imbalance can be from many, many, many different kinds of things, right? So, actually, let me take it a little further back because you guys are talking about IBS, and I actually would say that IBS is probably more related here to the lower chakra because it's intestinal tract stuff. It's stuff that's going on in there. There's also maybe I should say the term because the term is pretty benign, but when you know what it's about, there's another issue where your digestion is like lightning. You eat and within a couple hours, it's evacuated. That is an issue in all three of these. IBS can be an issue in all three of these, but I definitely would move it down to the lower chakras. This is going to be more like acid reflux, tightness or bricks in your belly when you eat, anxiety that prevents you from eating. I am one of those people that when I get upset, I can't eat. It makes me feel like I'm putting bricks in my belly because my stomach becomes so tight. So one of the things, let's talk about some things that we can do for our solar plexus after we've talked about all these other things, right? Deep belly breaths. Put your hand on your belly and inhale, allowing your belly to expand when you inhale. And as you exhale, pull your belly all the way in as best you can. Doesn't matter your size, your body shape. This movement is available to everyone. It might take time to cultivate it. God, can you guys hear my gut, actually? So, moving this action here can help to balance the solar plexus. Another one of my favorite ways to address imbalance here in the center of will is the position of power and position of weakness practice. Yes, mullet cookie, exactly. Constipation and the opposite are the same problem. Yep. So, position of power versus position of weakness. What am I talking about? What's your position of weakness? You know what mine is? This. I hide my ears. I hide my neck. I bring my hands together. I curl my shoulders forward, and I usually tip my head to one side. This is my position of weakness. This can also be my position of weakness. This can also be my position of weakness. Yeah. So find your position of weakness. I want you to do this exercise with me. If you have it available to you, and you are inclined, and if it feels right to do, then I invite you to join me for a minute. Go ahead and curl up. Thank you, Paul. Go ahead and curl up into your position of weakness. Now pay attention to your body right now. In your position of weakness, look. Look where your gut is. Look at where your shoulders are. Look at where your neck is. Feel out the tension in your body. I can feel it in my shoulders. I can feel it in my hands and in my arms, in my low back, in my belly, in my head, right? Just by doing this, I put myself back in my position of weakness. This is ultimately to protect myself. I might call it a position of weakness, but this is a position of protection. Now, if I have a healthy, balanced, bright, powerful Manipura chakra, willpower chakra, solar plexus chakra, what would that look like? Go ahead and uncurl yourself and see if you can find a position that feels like confidence. Not overly confident. We don't need to be aggressive, right? Let's roll our shoulders a few times. Maybe pull them up to your ears one last time and drop that shit. Find a nice, relaxed position for your shoulders. Thank you, Katie, for sharing the live. Elongate your spine. Lift from the top of your head. Send your tailbone down into the earth. Expand your spine. Lift yourself tall and gently tuck your chin. Breathe deep. Inhale to expand the rib cage in all directions, front, sides, and back. Breathe again. Inhale, expanding the rib cage and the belly with that breath. And exhale. Relax the tension in your neck and in your shoulders and in your face. Let your shoulder blades melt down your back. Now bring your hand to your solar plexus and gently bring intention to your core. Now, this is a subtle practice. If you are new to the practice, it's okay where you might go, I don't know what you're talking about. I either tense my muscles or they're not tensed. That's okay. Go ahead and tense them a little bit. I invite you to bring your intention to your core. Activate your core only with intention. And again, if that means to you tensing your muscles a little bit, go ahead and do that and then relax them. Otherwise, bring your intention to your core. Hello, beautiful, confident you. I invite you to now check in with your body. Notice your posture. Notice your breath. Notice your heart rate. How does your gut feel? Alana, your brain is sometimes not communicating with your muscles perfectly. So you know what is really amazing is that our bodies and our brains do not always communicate directly with each other. And there's a lot going on within our body that our brains don't really either pick up on or pay attention to. Sorry, friend, I don't go live with people I don't know, but feel free to send me a message about going live another time. I'm happy to chat with folks about doing shared lives. I like to do that stuff, but the reason all of my work comes from the foundation of the energy body is because of the disconnection between the brain and the body. Now, it's not completely disconnected, but the brain is not always aware of everything. Your brain cannot always explain why you have sciatic low back problems. Your brain can't explain why you have IBS or chronic whatnot. Sometimes it can, and sometimes there is oh, look, you stubbed your toe on the door. Of course it's purple, that makes sense. But there is always a subtle layer, a deepening layer, a more subtle underneath something that is in the energy body. Remember again, the stack of stones, right? The stack of stones. This top stone, if you poke any of these other stones, what's going to happen? the top stone is going to wiggle. The top stone is going to move. This is your body. I know, right? Mullah cookie. This is your body. Your body is your check engine light. Your body says, hey, something underneath the surface is misaligned. But because we don't know how to pay attention to those subtle layers, we work only from this gross layer, this external world. I treat the symptoms of my body, but never go deeper into those subtle layers. And because of that, if I'm doing that, I rarely find the root of the issue, and symptoms will manifest again and again and again. This isn't your body attacking you. This isn't your body being out to get you. Your ruminating thoughts, nightmares, things like that coming up, they are not your mind attacking you. These are requests for release. These are petitions for release. We store our trauma in our body far more than we do in our brain. Our brain is much better at compartmentalizing it and packing it away somewhere and saying, we don't need that at the moment. But if we do need it, right, I'll give you anxiety just in case, because this terrible thing that happened, I'm going to store away back here. And from now on, we're going to remember that if anything remotely like this happens, we're going to have an anxiety attack because that shit was scary when we were 3. But now that you're 30 and you can deal with somebody taking your cookie, telling you no when you can't have a cupcake, right? So then we need to readdress these. Yes, absolutely, Nikki. Okay, so let's do the mudra again by request. This is the Manipura chakra mudra. This is the mudra for the solar plexus. So this one's a little bit twisty, but it's fun. So, begin with your palms facing down, fingers spread out. Lift your middle finger on your left hand. Lift the middle finger of your left hand. Slide the index finger of your right hand in under that middle. And you're going to want to rest the pad of that right index on the ring of the left for a second here. Curl your left middle around the right index. Curl your right middle around the left index. Now bring the pads of your ring fingers and your pinkies to touch, and touch the pads of your thumbs. Now go ahead and adjust. You can open it up more and keep it nice and wide like this if you need the space for it. If not, you can tuck it in tighter. There. And get like so. So this mudra is rested here at the solar plexus. And as I said earlier, I have been really enjoying playing with this mudra, and I have personally found that when I am laying down, laying it on this, it spans the entire distance between my belly button and my sternum. Mullah cookie. You say you used to have a hatred for your image in pictures and videos. It feels narcissistic, and that's deeper, I'm sure. Changing that now. A lot of times when we have these traumas in our centers for self-esteem, for self-worth, for the right to exist, these kinds of things, then it manifests as really low self-esteem or fear of self-esteem. For me, similarly, right? I, for so long, have been so afraid of being a narcissist because I was raised by them that I ended up allowing people to take advantage and steamroll and just use me as a doormat. But I thought that was better than overpowering people. That was better than exerting my will over somebody else's, because who was I to exert my will? Who am I to stake any kind of claim to anything? Not even my own confidence. Yeah, to lift you up. You like that? This is a really nice one. Katie, I love you too, hon. So when you sit with this mudra, remember to sit for a minimum of 5 minutes, because it takes about 5 minutes for the energy to start really circulating to get through the whole system. And honor your process. Honor your process. If you sit with this mudra and it starts to feel uncomfortable, which is very possible, then I invite you to be gentle. Release the mudra. Let the feeling that was created, that was uncomfortable, let it go away. Wait until it dissipates. This is the practice of mindfulness, guys. This is so important. It matters less you getting a silent moment in meditation than it does you giving yourself the opportunity to pause, to integrate whatever's happening. And before you go back to the practice, please ask yourself permission and honor what your body says. So, Chelsea, this is called the Manipura Chakra Mudra, or the solar plexus mudra. We're going to do it again. You guys ready? We'll do it again. It's funky, but once you get it, it's really cool. Okay. Hey, Heather, how are you? We're doing the Manipura Chakra Mudra. We're working with the solar plexus today. And here's the mudra. Okay. Lift the middle finger on your left hand. Pop that up. Bring the index of your right and slide it underneath the middle of your left. Curl your left middle down over your index. Curl your right middle over your left index. So it'll look like so. Right? You got that piece. Now bring your ring fingers to touch, pinkies to touch, and thumbs to touch. So Manipura means, translates loosely to kingdom of jewels, filled with jewels, city of jewels, 1,000 jewels, bejeweled. This is your sun. This is the shining jewel that illuminates your intention. This is where our intention expresses itself into manifest creation. I love you too, Heather. So, imbalances here again manifest as poor self-esteem. It can be difficulty holding boundaries, emotional dysregulation, difficulty accomplishing goals, putting our own needs and will aside for others. It can also mean, conversely, an excess of will. An imbalance here, again, means it can be deficient, it can be excessive, or it can be a bit of both. We were talking about the tendency to yell if you are not feeling heard, and that being a trauma response. That can be a trauma response, an excess expression on a deficient chakra. So my deficiency here, I can't even own it, it's not mine to own. The deficiency here around self-esteem and around my sense of will, and my ability to accomplish things and to get things done. With that deficiency, I feel unsuccessful. I feel victimized, right? I'm giving you guys the examples of what it feels like to have that deficiency. And when you feel consistently, persistently victimized, smaller, put down, powerless, how do we respond? Sometimes we respond by being suddenly way more aggressive, right? I feel like this is the perfect example for the empath narcissist relationship, where the empath says, I don't have any needs or any will. I will just support your will, right? Like I was saying earlier, as somebody with a deficiency with a lot of trauma here, what did I do but choose people in my life? Adam, let me show you. I chose people in my life who had an excessive solar plexus chakra, aka narcissist, arrogant, aggressive, domineering, manipulative. I chose that. We choose that because we feel that deficiency here. And so we're drawn to not only those that harmed us, the energy that harmed us, but the energy we would like to be in. This is how we often get stuck in that narcissist empath cycle. And then what do? They poke and they poke and they poke and they poke and they push and they push and they push and they push. And then finally you develop some fucking willpower. Finally you develop a voice. Finally you get some courage to be like, and now you're the aggressive one. Now you're the one who's arrogant. Now you're the narcissist. That's manipulation. Straight up. And we choose them for a reason. Yes. Taking responsibility for that does not mean you have to blame yourself. Responsibility is not blame. Responsibility is the ability to change it. Blame keeps you stuck in that repetitive cycle. So, all right, Adam, you asked for how do we do this mudra? Let's do it again. Place both palms down. Lift the middle finger of your left hand and slide the pointer finger underneath the pointer finger of your right hand, underneath the middle of your left, okay? Curl your left middle finger around that index, the right index. Curl the right middle finger around the left index. Okay? And now bring the ring finger pads to touch, pinky pads to touch, and the thumbs to touch. So you can loosen this up and create a little more space if you need it. Or you can get it nice and snug in there like so. So you can hold it here, or you can hold it like so. I personally really like it like this. But either way works, isn't it? Again, this is this chakra. This is the mudra for balancing the Manipura chakra. It doesn't matter. And this is why I love mudras and why I love working with the energy body. You don't have to know if it's excessive or deficient. You don't have to know about the trauma that happened. You don't have to know when, how, why, who, what, where. None of that shit matters. Bring your mudra. Hold your mudra for a minimum of 5 minutes, because it takes 5 minutes for it to circulate through the energy system, through the body. But if you only get 3, pat yourself on the back and get your 3. That's better than none. This will bring you back into balance by itself. Now listen, if your habit is to be out of balance, doing this one time for 5 minutes is not going to suddenly heal that imbalance and you're just going to remain balanced forever. The energy body is a dynamic system that shifts and changes frequently. Thank you, Heather. This can also address, we've been talking about kind of the emotional, cognitive issues here, but it also addresses the physical ones too. Yes, onions. Ogres are like onions. Also address physical layers, so stomach issues. This issues imbalance here can lead to heartburn issues, can lead to lower digestive issues, elimination issues, nutrient assimilation issues, things with the gallbladder, liver, stomach, This also works, and you guys know that I try to be very, very careful around what I say on this particular topic, but this also works with trauma, food, trauma responses around food. Yes, kidneys too, yes. So if you have an excess, right? If your trauma response here is to feed a deficient chakra or an excess of chakra, I invite you to try this mudra for 5 minutes. When you have that impetus, that desire to go and have a piece of cake to deal with the thing, I invite you to sit for 5 minutes with this mudra. Now listen to me. I didn't say, oh, see you later, Katie, have a great day. I didn't say, don't eat the thing. I said, when you have the, I'm feeling shitty, I just need to go have a cupcake. Before you have your cupcake, sit for 5 minutes holding this. And then if you still want to have the cupcake, go ahead. But when you do, make sure that you are kind and gentle with yourself. In fact, you can even use it as a celebration. Good job. You sat for 5 minutes with your mudra before you ate the cupcake. Well, now I can celebrate with a cupcake. I don't believe in treating ourselves with aggression, because I have never found healing through tension. Is tension necessary for our development? Absolutely. For us to build muscles, we have to create tension, right? And that's what actually builds the muscle bigger. Diamonds are made through pressure, refinement, right? Life refines us through tension, through pressure, but listen, it will bring pressure to you. You don't have to manufacture it. You don't have to create it. And we live in a world that is very much about tension and pressure and pushing and fighting and battling and trying and working and all these fucking words we have for pushing yourself, for being a human doing. I invite you that when you sit in mindfulness, when you practice self-care, that you sit in this space with compassion and grace, that you release tension and the need to push. Because you cannot treat a delicate spider web the same way that you would treat a magnificent tree. I can hug that fucking tree. I can climb that tree. I can dance around that tree. But if I breathe too hard, I'm going to destroy that spider web. The layers of self are like that spider web. Delicate, ethereal, present, powerful. So powerful that it can realign your physical body. Why? Because everything in the universe really is just energy, vibrating at different frequencies. So if your frequency is off here, guess what? The universe is going to respond to your misaligned frequency. Again, I will use my personal experience here. For me, with a deficiency here, I sought out people, the universe brought me people who, one, perpetuated more of that trauma, and two, that I wanted to be more like. I wanted to be more like that excessive solar plexus energy because I didn't know what balanced looked like. And so again and again and again, I found myself victimized in situations with people who had excessive arrogance, narcissistic tendencies, manipulation, like aggression, yeah. So as we were talking about yesterday, how do we change these things? When we recognize these habits in our lives, these habitual choice patterns or emotional patterns or physical patterns or thought patterns, how do we change these things? And I don't believe that it all happens in one fell swoop. Do we sometimes in life have these amazing experiences that shift us in a matter of moments? Absolutely. But not all of our growth is going to be that swift. And honestly, wisdom is not something that happens with swiftness, right? Trust is not something that happens with swiftness. Understanding does not happen with swiftness quite in the same way. These things take time. They take, I was going to say commitment, but no, you cannot be committed to and still receive understanding and gain wisdom. But instead of toiling with any of the thought process, any of the cognitive nonsense about it, we can invite our body, our energy body, our entire being back into realignment by using mudras, mantras, by working with our energy. And all of these things work with our energy. What are the most powerful parts of mindfulness? In fact, the foundations, what I've been calling the pillars of mindfulness. Is it only for the solar plexus? No, it's not only for the solar plexus, but it affects the solar plexus most, and everything within the solar plexus energy and area. I'm trying to think of what else this is for. I mean, it boosts your confidence. It boosts your physical ability to move around in the world. If you're feeling sluggish, it'll bring you back, bring you more energy back. But all of those things are associated with the solar plexus. Yes, Leb. Understanding takes awareness and openness. Mudras and mantras help perpetuate these states. Part of the reason mudras and mantras work is because they give us an anchor, right? So the foundations of mindfulness. We will get to the heart chakra next week, my friend. We will work with the heart chakra all week next week. This week, we're going to work with the solar plexus. Your intention and your attention. Curiosity and willingness. These are what I have come to understand as the 4 pillars of meditation, of mindfulness. Everything else on top of that helps us cultivate these things, or is a boon, or is an extra. My intention is my guiding star, is my North Star. I want to make sure that my intention is aligned with my truth, with my values, with my desires. Right? If my intention is to go to college, but really I want to go get a skilled trade job or something like that right out of high school or something, then I better not focus my attention on an intention that is not well aligned with me. So your intention is first and foremost. And that intention in mindfulness is sometimes just to be present. It can be very, very simple, or it can be as complicated as you want. I invite you to keep it simple. So, I'm in my mindfulness space. I come to my mindfulness space. Hi, try. And I bring my intention here. My intention here in mindfulness is just to be present with myself. Just to give myself a few moments. Self-care. Maybe that's it. I'm just going to practice self-care. Whatever that looks like today, I'm just going to practice self-care. And then I bring my attention to that intention again and again. My attention is my compass. My attention keeps me focused on my intention. Keeps my ship, my car, my train, whatever you want to call it, pointed right towards that North Star of intention, what my intention is. I'm ready. Curiosity. Curiosity is the wind in my sails. Thank you, friend. Curiosity is the wind in my sails. Curiosity propels me forward. Curiosity allows me, gives me the desire to explore. And the lean in moment in mindfulness. The last piece, willingness. Willingness is my ability to meet anything that comes up. When we are exploring our inner landscape, the depths and breadth of our ocean can feel huge and expansive, can feel scary, can feel uncharted. And usually it feels uncharted because it is uncharted. Thank you, friend. So the reason I am here teaching mindfulness is because the journey into self, the journey home to self, has been the very thing that has literally saved my life and changed my life in ways that means I don't need saving anymore. It is these tools that have pulled me out of the worst, most difficult points in my life. And it is these tools that keep me from slipping back into the worst patterns. Is it uncomfortable? Is it nerve-wracking? Is it scary? Is it unfamiliar? Yeah. Does it take a kind of courage to meet yourself no matter what comes up? Absolutely. But remember, you can't be brave without being scared first. You can't come home to yourself without leaving home first. So if you feel like you're still searching for home, what's that term? There's a term, this idea, this longing for a home that you've never actually had or never actually been to. You know where I found that? After traveling the world? Right here. And I am currently in the process of cleaning it up. Many of us do not recognize the value of this temple. And so we leave the doors open. And so we never renovate. We never fix the foundation. And yet so many of us have these structures of self, these constructs of self that were built on quicksand, on shaky foundations, on tension and suffering and fear and shame. These are not supportive. So let's talk some more about the solar plexus here. Again, it develops during the age of about 18 months to 4 years. The element that rules the solar plexus is fire. This is your inner sun. This is your center for will. It is your center for transformation. It is your center for self-esteem. What does a balanced self-esteem look like? A healthy sense of power. Good digestion, right? Healthy digestion. A sense of autonomy, an ability to have an idea and make it happen. This is somebody who is responsible and reliable, somebody you can count on. Somebody who is confident in meeting challenges and can hear criticism without being offended or taking it personally or being shamed, feeling shamed. So to bring our energy out of habitual imbalance, then we have to regularly check back in with these things. So each week we are covering a different chakra. We're taking the whole week to talk about the chakra, to work on the chakra. If you have any questions about the chakras, remember guys that I have a couple of membership levels. If you would like to, there's a couple of things that you can do with those membership levels. The first level gives you access to my replay library. All of my replays will be within a membership starting June 1st on YouTube. So that subscription is available on Patreon and here on TikTok. That first level of subscription also gives you the ability to join the live panel on Saturdays. When we go live, then you can ask questions in real time. Thank you, friend. It also gives you the ability to request content. Yes, Star Muse, this will get posted on YouTube, but again, June 1st, all of my replays are going to go into an archive and will be available through membership. I'm changing the way I do things just a little bit so that I can focus on going live more often instead of creating a bunch of content. So, hold on, sorry, I'm trying to plug in my computer so it doesn't die. Okay. So, that first level of membership allows you to request content that I will then turn around and make videos for you. I will answer your questions in downloadable videos that you can save for yourself. You can join the live panel on Saturday. You get a 5% discount on all other services and things like that. And I think there was one other perk to that. Oh, the replays, YouTube replay. The second level of membership gets you additionally twice weekly group coaching on our Zoom call in our CAYA community. The third tier of membership also gets you an additional 1 month or 1 hour of private coaching per month. The membership levels, again, are available here on TikTok as a subscription, or you can go to Patreon. I do ask that if you can, if you've got the minute to go to Patreon, please go to the link in my bio and go grab the membership there. The membership there will never change price. It's going to stay like that on Patreon. The membership levels here on TikTok are going to change because TikTok only gives me up to 50% of the revenue I make. So I need to make sure that the memberships here, subscriptions here on TikTok are adjusted to account for that. Over there on Patreon, they're never going to change. They take a very small percentage out. So ideally, that's the best place to be. But if you like the convenience, you can stay here too. In September, the prices here on TikTok will change to account for that discrepancy in how much they take from me, how much they keep. So that's the little side note. If you have any questions about it, if you have any concerns, if you want to chat some more about some of these things, if the $sign is the lock on the gate that keeps you out of these things that you really want to engage with, please reach out because 1, I really love to trade. And 2, I need some help. I need some different services and things like that. So you're curious about the top 3, 4 chakras or... So again, this week we're going to be working primarily with the solar plexus. We will talk about the sacral and the root as well, and I'll occasionally mention the upper ones, but we're going to focus on the solar plexus this week and some of the review of the lower chakras, because our experience of creation, our energy development begins from the root. From in utero to about 6 months, our root chakra. You are very welcome, Drew. Have a great day. Our root chakra is our first to develop and develops during the age of from in utero to about 6 months. That is the center for I am. I exist. I have a right to exist. I am grounded. I receive life force from the universe, period. That's it. Our experiences down there in that chakra are almost always stored in the body, rarely in the mind. Occasionally we do have very early memories, but these get stored in the body. from about 6 months to about 18 months, that energy moves up into the solar plexus. Headaches in the back of your head. Headaches in the back of your head are about the, there's various things that can cause headaches. I can't just say that one thing causes headaches. And guys, be mindful too, I'm not going to diagnose things, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what, like if you want private sessions, we can absolutely grab private sessions and we can talk about this. That's as a side note too. I also have on my Patreon page in the shop, you can purchase coaching by donation. They're 15-minute sessions where you can pay whatever you want. I think there's a minimum on there of like $3 or something like that. And you can ask your questions and we'll have 15 minutes to go through them. Okay. I have a schedule that you can pick a time and whatnot that works for you. Like, this is my favorite way to get your quick questions answered if you'd like to. Otherwise, you can grab that membership level and you can send me messages and ask me directly about these things, and I will do my best to respond, unless it's a very personal thing. And then, yeah, we'll sort those things out. But so Weapon X, in our early development from birth, our chakras develop this way. Our chakras rise. We begin with our root, and we work our way up through the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and then the crown. It aligns with our physical development, our social, emotional, and cognitive and whatnot development. The same issues that we see in child development during these different stages are the exact same issues that arise when we have with each chakra. So now, this week we are here somewhere between 18 months and 4 years, right? Our experiences here will, yes, some be stored in the body. Some of us now can start making memories. Not some of us can, right? We all have the capacity to begin creating memories here and a little bit lower. It's less likely, but our brains can store the actual memories of events here. And some of the lower ones, but it's, like I said, less likely down here, more and more likely up here. One of the easiest ways to treat imbalances in a particular chakra is to invite that color into your life. The solar plexus chakra is the color yellow. It is, again, represented by the energy of fire. So, standing in the sun, eating a banana, wearing the color yellow, a pretty little sundress or a nice yellow polo. I don't know, whatever your thing is. Decorating with the color yellow. If you're having nightmares, try yellow sheets and see what happens. Because this element, the element of fire, rules the solar plexus, inviting fire into your world, whether it is by an image of fire or a video of a fireplace playing. Herbs for this chakra here, lemon balm, chamomile as well. Hey JB, we are talking about the solar plexus chakra. So we are inviting fire, the image of fire or the energy of fire into our lives, or the color yellow and or the sun. This is our center for will. This is our manifestation of our will into creation. This is when yes, thank you, Star Muse. And stones for this one: citrine, tiger's eye, honey calcite, yellow jasper is also another one. Amber is another one. What are other herbs? Another herb that's really good for the solar plexus is lavender. If you have an excess here, or a deficiency. Actually, I was going to say, it brings it back into balance, because with a deficiency, you're going to be dealing with more like nightmares and night terrors and difficulty sleeping. You can also deal with that with an excess as well. Lavender will help calm the aggression that comes with excess of the solar plexus. Let's see. Anise and fennel here as well. Anise, fennel, cardamom, and juniper. I might have forgotten one in there. These are all herbs, foods, stones, scents that will assist the solar plexus chakra. The solar plexus, hey Tina, the solar plexus is our center for will. This is our center for self-esteem. This is our center for our personal power. This is where our ego identity becomes developed, becomes manifest. This is where we first establish our sense of autonomy. This is, as Erik Erikson, a child development theorist, calls this the stage of autonomy versus shame and doubt. So the demon around here is shame. Feelings of worthlessness, feelings of shame, feelings of being victimized, feelings of being powerless. These all come from this area. Fennel tea is amazing for heartburn. And again, there's a couple of things about it, right? We can look at it on several levels. It's a digestive. My brain is telling me an herbalism term, but I don't think it's the right term for it. Carminative? What the heck is that? So it's a digestive. It's an aromatic. It's a digestive. It helps to relieve gas. It helps to relax heartburn. It soothes the stomach and upper digestion. And it's also safe during pregnancy. This is also, it's very yummy. I am a big fan of fennel. I like to chew on fennel seeds. Also, it's a good way after a meal. Chewing on fennel seeds is also really nice. Anise is another one that's paired really well with fennel. This is also where we learn to control impulse. So ginger is good for digestion too. Yes, absolutely. Ginger is very much a solar plexus energy. Ginger also reaches down into the sacral as well. What do you guys think would be some good, what's the word I'm looking for? Affirmations or mantras. Throw some affirmations or mantras out that you think would be good for the solar plexus. Sorry, friend, I don't go live with people I don't know, but feel free to send me a message about going live another time. I know nobody does, but y'all just coming in here trying to do the battle thing. I don't do battles. Hey, I don't do battles. I'm just going to go ahead and mute you since you don't listen. Okay. Anise tea, Mexican oregano. I love oregano is also a really good one. You can even, I wonder how it would taste. Fennel, oregano, yeah, and cardamom. Yeah, probably be delicious. Yes, Leb. Well, reach out to me. I do shared lives, and I will be doing here in the near future. I need to sort out some other things in my schedule, but here in the near future, we will start doing a skills workshop. I'm trying to figure out where to put it in during the week, but essentially I'm going to start hosting a workshop space for you to come and teach others what you do. Anybody who feels like they have something that they want to share and they can share within a 30-minute to hour space. I don't know exactly how big and how small I'm going to make this space, but I want to do this completely for free. This is a community service. This is a skill share workshop. So if you have skills from herbalism to carpentry, from astrology to medical something or other, right? It doesn't matter what the skill is, as long as you can put together some kind of teaching bit for it, some kind of workshop for it within a, like I said, 30-minute to an hour. I think I'm going to do 30-minute to an hour sessions. Keep an eye out. Make sure you give me a follow if you want to be involved, or if you want to learn some really cool skills from other cool people, right? NST is good for cramps. Obviously cramps have to do with the sacral chakra a whole lot. Sacral chakra is about our reproductive system. Ginger, turmeric, chlorella. Ooh. Catnip, CAYA Community Skills Exchange. Yes, Tina, I think I am going to do it monthly. I think I'm going to have a once a month session. And that way we can maybe make it an hour or 2 or 3 and have a couple people back to back so people can come and go. And that way we're not doing, I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably start with once a month, and depending on what the response is, maybe I'll go bi-weekly. It's going to depend a lot more on how many people reach out to me and want to participate. I can teach workshops all day long, but I actually really want to support other people in getting their stuff out. If you cannot go live and you want to do the Skillshare thing, reach out to me, because I'm going to try to figure out a way to do that so that, that's okay, Tina. So that people who don't have the necessary followers can still go live. I've done it before through Zoom, and then using TikTok Studio to go through Zoom, to go onto TikTok live. So reach out to me. Don't be afraid to reach out if you have a cool skill you'd like to share, but you can't go live. Please reach out. You got skills? Yeah, you do. Yeah. Perfect. So start brainstorming, write down some ideas, let me know, send me a message. If you want to participate in the Skillshare, please reach out to people who have skills that you would like to learn from. I was just saying the other day, I'm a novice musician and a novice artist. I could totally use some tips on colored pencil shadings, or shading, right? Or like how to move from this chord to that chord. Please. I'm creating this space because I want to encourage you to see the value in the skills that you have. Even if you don't have a degree for them, even if you didn't go to school for them, even if they're odd or not mainstream skills, right? You are valuable. If the universe didn't need you, you wouldn't be here. There you go. Artist, gardener, photography. Yes. I could use some garden tips, please. Last year, I painted my thumb green because my thumb is not very green. I can do houseplants, but beyond that, so I painted my thumb green. Hopefully it did help me a little bit last year, but I could definitely use some professional help in terms of my gardening. Great to be talking about seeing the value in your skills while focusing on the solar plexus. You caught me, Leb. Cooking, great thing. That's a great thing to be teaching. I embrace my inner power today. Yes, Ignite Yoga. That's a wonderful affirmation for the solar plexus. I embrace my inner power. And remember, when you find yourself in a position of weakness, in a position of protection, remember, your body is trying to protect you. So if you find yourself today doing one of these, or these, or holding back, I invite you to relax those shoulders, elongate that spine, take a couple of deep breaths, pulling the breath into the belly, breathe in the fire in your gut, breathe in the warmth of the sun, your jeweled temple, and find yourself a position of power, a position of confidence. Star Muse, I would really love some of your vegan recipes. Tina. Yes, so Tina asks if I consider doing yoga sessions, short ones. You really like to get back into yoga. So on Fridays, I do tiny yoga. Tiny yoga is a chair yoga class that was born out of living and traveling in all different kinds of spaces. And we don't always have the space to do a full length asana practice, and definitely not even a full hour, right? We don't even always have a full hour to do it. So on Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Pacific time, I do tiny yoga. It's a 30-minute gentle flow for everybody in every space. Please be mindful. Please be mindful that come June, I'm going to shift my schedule a little bit. I'm going to start coming on a little bit earlier. I will not start class before 10 a.m. unless I have let you know. I will give you notice. I will let you know ahead of time. I am considering turning tiny yoga into a wake up with me yoga, because the reason I don't know, I'm not a very tiny person. That's okay, but you can live in a tiny space. And for all intents and purposes, this is a pretty tiny vehicle that we are in compared to the expansive cosmos that exist outside of it as well as within it. And that's what tiny yoga is about. Tiny yoga actually was partially inspired by the genie from Aladdin by Robin Williams, because in living in these small spaces and traveling around, in skipping my practice of yoga, because I was like, I don't have the space, I don't have the time, I don't have the whatever, right? There's too much stuff. I stepped out to do yoga out of this particular RV. And I was doing yoga, and I did my first like big stretch into like Warrior 2 or something. And I heard this like, 10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck, right? I'd like kinked from sleeping, and I went outside to do my full practice, and I laughed. I was like, it is. It's like having infinite cosmic power available to you within a finite, itty bitty living space. And we think sometimes that what we need, or the only way to treat ourselves or to take care of ourselves, are with these grand gestures like 90-minute yoga classes several times a week. But really, again, it is the ability to take these tools with you in the moment and use them when you need them. And for me, tiny yoga is about the fact that I wake up kinked and misaligned and out of whack, and sometimes with really limited mobility. So in my journey, in my exploration of my authenticity and showing up in the ways that I really want to show up, my classes are going to shift a little bit so that I can be more real, more true to what I want to share. And tiny yoga is about showing up exactly as you are and finding the infinite within the finite. Making more space. Phenomenal cosmic power! Living space. Exactly. You'll hear me say it 1,000 times when I do it. Like, I try not to say it every time I do tiny yoga, but it comes out a lot. It can also mean that you adjust movements to a thinner capacity if you can't do the full movement. Yes. And so I do offer modifications in that class. I always encourage you to find your modifications. Oh, somebody asked time zone. I am on the West Coast, so all my classes are at Pacific time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. I will start coming on earlier and earlier as we move into summer. Again, just working on being authentic, showing up genuinely. But that tiny yoga class, you know what? I might just stay in bed until 10 a.m. on Fridays, and then I'll roll out of bed for you guys. It's my excuse. No, I have to stay in bed. I can't get out of bed. I got tiny yoga happening, and I gotta be disheveled. So, usually my replays for all of my classes are on YouTube. In fact, right now they are all available on YouTube. If you want to go check out Tiny Yoga, if you want to go find a mudra from last December, go look through my archives. They are on the lives, and a lot of them are posted there. You should be most, if not all, in the Bhakti Bites playlist or Tiny Yoga playlist, but go explore that channel. What you're going to see there right now, all of the replays are going to go into a membership level. So I'll just remind you one more time. The membership levels are available here on TikTok through subscriptions, but because TikTok takes 50% or more of what I make, I also have a Patreon page. The Patreon prices will never, ever, ever change. They are at $11, $22, and $55. Here on TikTok, they're a little bit lower right now for your convenience and your enjoyment, but come September, those numbers will change to account for how much TikTok takes out of that. Again, if you want to stay on a membership that will never change, it's over on Patreon. There's a lot of different perks that you get in there, and mostly it's further levels of interaction with me. I no longer charge for information. Information is your right. Information is free. And I went ahead and did the work of 12, 15 some years of studying, researching, educating myself, practicing, and developing this toolbox back here. The nature, however, of my toolbox is paradoxical, ironic to me that I spent so long building this toolbox. But guess what? The easiest way to access it is for you to ask me questions. I have tried before. I have tried to sit down and write a text. I have tried to sit down and write training courses. And I've made little bits, pieces here and there. But it was strenuous to make it happen. I had to fight to find the information. But when one of you comes over and says, oh, I have this and that, or I have this thing that I'm dealing with, or what about this? It's as if the tools lift themselves out of the toolbox and offer them to you. It's a gift that I am grateful for being the conduit for. Yes, thank you, Gigi. So the 3-tier membership. Tier 3 includes a full private hour with me. Private sessions are usually $99 for an hour private session. $99 for an hour private session. If you want to go book an hour with me right now, it's $99. If you get the membership, that's only $55 a month. You get 1 hour of coaching, twice weekly group coaching, and the ability to join me on the live, all of my replays, and the ability to message me and ask me for direct content that to be made specifically for you and posted. That's the best. Again, as I've said before, I started this as a business, and then as I explore my truth, it's not. Do I need to pay the bills? Yes. Do I need to make sure that things keep functioning and I can buy my kid new shoes when he grows out of his old ones? Abso-fucking-lutely. That's the reality we live in, and there's no denying that reality right now. But the truth is that my goal here is not to get rich. It's not to nickel and dime you. It's not to manipulate you into anything. My goal here is to build community, is to come together so that we can learn and grow collectively. Because in all of these years of experimenting and trying things out, I can tell you for sure that yes, we can survive on our own, but we thrive together. Speaking of thriving together, we also have a Discord space. So if you would like to get off the social media and come interact outside of this stuff here, share photos, images, talk more directly, that is in the Discord. The link for the Discord is again on my Patreon page. If you follow me nowhere else, please follow me on Patreon. That's where all the info, announcements, shop, memberships, all that stuff. Leb, I like that. The future is communal. Yes. And I have been, we all have been preparing for community by feeling lost and alone. You cannot come home to yourself unless you leave home first. Do the mudras go beyond the 7 chakras? Do you mean, is there a mudra for like the soul star and the earth star and the minor chakras? There are ones that work with them, but there's Mudras work on the energy body in such a way that it's like mudras are their system, just like social emotional development is its system, just like psychology and herbalism are their system. Stones, mantras are their system. Asanas are all these different ways of affecting the same thing. So the beauty of that is that as unique as you are, is how unique your healing package, right, is. The mudra that works for my solar plexus might be very not good for the person who has a very different alignment with their solar plexus. It is all intertwined, right? They are not separate parts. And I'm still making mine up. And that, my friends, is the goal. Is not for you to copy me or anybody else, but for you to find the guide within, the guru within, the freedom and the trust and the compassion within, to allow your own healing to manifest within you, from within you. Follow your own lead. Allow spontaneity to rise within you and be expressed out into this world. Spontaneity is creation. Curiosity, willingness, these are expansive opportunities. Fear, shame, doubt, these are contractive energies. And you have a choice. One of your greatest superpowers is choice. I hope that you find that superpower within you. That instead of denying your ability to choose, and this is the thing, again, it's layers of the onion, right? Oftentimes we find ourselves stuck in life because we are not willing to see the available options, or we don't like the options and so we deny that they exist at all. But pressure and tension is an opportunity for growth and expansion. So if life is squeezing you, it is asking for your attention, so that you can evolve, so that you can move to your next stage of development. And guess what? Nobody can tell you how exactly to do that for you. But you can. Try things out. Try on some tools. Keep them in your toolbox if they work for you. But we won't know the full scope of tools available to us if we keep ourselves locked inside of our little box and say, the only way to deal with this is through this and that. Okay, well, if you say that, that is then your only way to deal with that. Talk about manifestation. Argue for your limitations, and indeed, they are yours. If you're tired of arguing for your own victimhood, but you don't know how to get out of that, please hang around. Please come join the Discord. We can talk at length. I share more resources there, from images and videos of the mudras, as well as recipes. We also have voice channels where we can hang out with each other outside of the lives, where we can have dance parties or just body double if you got chores to do or something. Right? Star Muse, that's beautiful. My healing work is grounded, rooted in earth, lit by sun, moon, and stars. Crashes in the heart. Lab, I like that. Boxes are to collect things, not to get stuck in. My brain just responded by saying, yeah, boxes are to collect things you're ready to get rid of. The demon of this chakra is shame. When our attempts to affect our world are thwarted or we are shamed for them, we develop a sense that we are not powerful, that we are not autonomous, that we are dependent and weak. The reality is that is not the true nature of who you are. Because the true nature at the core of who you are is prana, is the exact same life force that flows through everything in the universe. And if we understand divinity as also running through everything in the universe, then we recognize prana as divinity, as the life force. Yes, or chi. That brings us life, that manifests creation into our finite world. This energy flows into your energy channels. Have you guys ever seen images of the energy body, the torus of energy that goes around the energy body? We have a central energy channel called the Sushumna. Now, some of the terms that I use are from the East, some are from the West, some are from my personal experience and understanding. So if I mix things up and you need a definition of things, please let me know. The central energy channel that runs through our system has two major openings, has a top and a bottom. The crown chakra and the root chakra. Your root chakra is at your pelvic floor. If you were seated right now, you're sitting on your root chakra. Your crown is at the top of your head. This is where the dualistic energy comes into our system. You can see that, again, we can actually, again, scientifically measure these things. We can see the energy field in the way that it moves. The energy comes in and goes out, both the top and the bottom, okay? This is where the divine masculine and the divine feminine come together. When they come together into creation. And manifest into creation happens through your sacral, solar plexus, heart, and throat chakras. These are our manifest self, finite self, this world energies. And how my early experiences, how my development goes, is going to affect these chakras very, very heavily. Your third eye chakra. So every chakra has a front and a back, by the way, too. You could say that the root and the crown are the front and the back of the Sushumna, the top and the bottom of the Sushumna. The sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, and the throat. The back of the chakra is immediately behind that chakra. So the throat chakra is here in the lower throat, so right behind. So to add to it, right? When you are experiencing pain or discomfort or things like that, imbalances in the back body, check with that chakra. You have a slouch here in your neck, check on your throat chakra. Problems in your shoulders and your shoulder blades, check with your heart. Mid back, low back issues, check with these guys. Now, what's interesting to me is that the third eye chakra is the only one at a different angle. And this goes to something you were saying earlier, Star Muse also. The front of the third eye chakra we know is here at the brow, right? The back is here at the base of the skull. The pineal gland is. It's my entire spine. I got some work to do. Yes. So, most of us have work to do. But it is not... It is because our energy body is constantly evolving and changing. It is a way of being with the self rather than a way of just treating symptoms like we do with the body. It is the development of awareness of more and more subtle layers. So when something twinges in your heart chakra with a thought or an energy in a room or a something, you can notice it and respond instead of what we often do is close it off or weaponize it. Learn how to work with your energy body and you will I can't even, I was going to say, and you will, and my brain was just like the whole pirate ship just exploded with all these different things that happen. But ultimately, you will have a much more intimate relationship with yourself. Yes. Yeah, Tina. Isn't that cool? The back of the third eye is the pineal gland. Barky, you're welcome to be here if you are willing to approach this space with curiosity and willingness. There is a lot of information here, both that I have spent my lifetime working on, as well as studying and experiencing myself. There is also several bodies of information that are far older than me, and people who have even more experience than I do with the chakras. I know some people like to go, they're bullshit. And if you would like to close your opportunity of experience off to understanding your energy body and your chakra system, that's okay. That's a choice that you can absolutely make. But I invite you to be in this space with curiosity and willingness. And if you don't want to be in this space, or if you just want to cause disruption in this space, then I invite you to go ahead and see yourself out. If not, you will be muted. And that is just to preserve the energy of this space. It is so we can cultivate a safe space for everybody to show up authentically. The mark of a tolerant society is intolerance of intolerance. So if we are being tolerant, approaching each other with curiosity and willingness, and someone comes in with intolerance or judgment, we remind them kindly, and then we mute them. Again, just like you do with the energy of a child who is not respecting a space or is having a big emotional thing going on, we do our best to support them, and ultimately, when we need to, we remove them from the situation. Almost always, when someone behaves like a toddler or a 4-year-old or these otherwise immature, and again, that's not a judgment, that's just a qualification. When these behaviors manifest in us, they are always indicative of imbalance. And so instead of judging people who show up in that way, we can collectively hold space in our hearts for whatever it was that caused them this imbalance. Hurt people hurt people. I'm sorry you were hurt. But weaponizing your energy, your words, or trying to siphon other people's energy off them because you do not have a connection with the infinite source of energy is only perpetuating your own suffering. And I'm not here to convince you of anything. You are welcome to take everything I have said with a grain of salt and throw it away. You are also welcome to plant every single seed and cultivate it and see what grows. Or just pick and choose what works for you. Guess what? I am not your guru, and I don't pretend to be. You are your guru. And you are ultimately the only one who can make the decisions for you. You are the only one who can know your truth. You are the only one who can ultimately heal and realign and protect yourself. And I have found that we do not do that by creating more tension within ourselves or with other people. Tension is restrictive and contractive. Do we need tension? Yes. To build muscle, let's say, right? Trying to beef up your arms. You absolutely need tension for growth, yes? But it is a process of tension and release. Tension and release. Here in the West, we are very tension-driven, tension-focused, and we feel like release is laziness. Sorry, random phone call. But it's not. It is the natural rhythm of the entire universe. This day and the night. The summer and the winter. The inhale and the exhale. Waking and falling asleep. Birth and death. The ebb and flow. The tides of creation flow through everything. Somebody asked me recently if your chakras have a breath. Yes. The fluid that runs up your spinal cord into your brain, that has a breath. In fact, it's got a kind of heartbeat. This is a fun practice for you. You want to practice hearing the more subtle layers of self? I invite you to sit and listen for the heartbeat of your spinal fluid. It took me quite a long time to get there, so please don't be dismayed if you're like, I hear nothing. It's okay. It is really fucking quiet. It is really, really subtle. But you will not get to that layer of subtlety by being obtuse and by being aggressive with yourself or with others. So, that said, I love you so much. And there is a special place in my heart for people who choose their own suffering. It takes a great amount of strength and courage for you to choose suffering again and again and again. Suffering nearly took me. I am not made for suffering. But some people choose that experience, choose that energy. You guys know my favorite analogy. Some of you may not have heard it. I haven't said it in a little while. But one of my favorite analogies, one of my favorite ways of thinking about this, because we ask, why do we need suffering? Why do we need pain in the world? Why does shit go wrong? Why do things, animals eat each other or humans fight with each other? Why do these all, we want to ask, why is there darkness? Why can't there just be all light? Okay? This is my favorite analogy. Imagine humanity as a body. We need the voice to speak up for us, to make requests, and to whisper sweet nothings. We need the shoulders to carry the weight of the world and to carry us around as kids. We need the feet to carry us forward. Progress. We need our gut to process and digest our experience and sort out what is for us and what is not. Again, these are analogies for different types of people. You have your mouths, voices. You've got your shoulders, right? Some of us are huge transmuters and we do a bunch of this work. Some of us are up here doing this. Some of us are the feet, continuing that path forward and just moving. In the same way that we need all of these pieces, you also need the armpit to get rid of toxins. And it smells because it is healing, because it is getting rid of toxins. You also need the asshole to get rid of shit your body and your world does not need. So next time you come across somebody who's being an asshole, thank them. You can do it silently in your head. Don't thank them directly. It might not go well, but maybe you can. I don't know. Who knows? It'll maybe poke a hole in their matrix. Thank them, even if it's just in here, for being the ones to transmute the bullshit so that you don't have to. And in that same respect, the only asshole you need in your life is your own. We are responsible for processing our own bullshit, processing our own. You can get really gross with it and talk about the ways that we try to give each other our bullshit for each other to process and how horrible that is. You know those relationships? Yeah, most of them are in them. Or have been. Yeah, Tina. So when life is shitty, remember that you're processing the bullshit you don't need. That it's an opportunity to clear away stuff that stinks, that you don't want. But whatever you do, please do not cinch it up and hold tight and harbor that bullshit within you, because it will rot in your gut. Leb, come join us in the Discord. That's where those things go. I love the analogy because it also gives me compassion for myself and compassion for others. Instead of judging them harshly, instead of being angry with them for existing, I sure as hell don't turn to my own asshole and hate on it. I mean, maybe you do. Maybe you've just never thought about it. But it deserves your love too. It has a job to do, and for the most part, it's probably pretty damn good at its job. My brain just went off on a tangent about like creating an asshole appreciation meditation. Really? Yeah, sure, why not? We'll put it on the podcast. If you follow my Patreon page, you will see when I post new podcasts, and I usually do meditations on there. I did do some astrology for a little bit. I do offer private astrology readings, but I do not do content creation for astrology anymore, mostly because I am reeling in my erroneous content creation so that I could spend much more of my time doing what feels most authentic, which is interacting directly with you guys, sharing the information directly to you guys, and answering your questions, right? Going live, showing you. But we also live in a world where a lot of people are disconnected from this central energy channel is gummed up. Now, if you are alive right now, prana is flowing through you. So don't go, oh no, what if the prana life force isn't flowing through me at all? It's okay. Take some breaths. Relax. Prana is flowing through you. Divinity is flowing through you. You exist here and now. Those things are true, to my understanding of them. You can use different words or different analogies if you'd like to. But what I've come to see is that when the more disconnected, the more gummed up, the more sluggish this energy flow is, the more we try to pull from other people's energy or from other finite sources in this reality. Codependency is about the give and take of finite energy between two people. And it almost always indicates a feeling of disconnection or a lack of flow of prana. because this is our actual energy source. That central channel where yin and yang energy come together, that is our eternal life force. And that manifests into creation here on this finite reality. But those manifestations are not meant for us to sustain us perpetually. Just like food in this finite reality does not sustain us perpetually. You're almost eaten by a piranha? What? I've eaten piranha, but I've not been eaten by piranha. Where are you? What are you doing that you almost got eaten by a piranha? Right, Tina? I was like, what? What is going on, catnip? Get out of the water! Finite sources of energy. I might try to balance my deficiency in my solar plexus by seeking external validation. I might go around seeking external validation for my accomplishments, become somebody egotistical and arrogant, right? Or just perpetually seek the validation of others. These are finite ways of getting energy. How are you getting energy when you're arrogant and egotistical? You're pulling energy from other people when you are dismissing them, belittling them, and taking away their energy, taking away their power here. Somebody who is dismissive and belittling and arrogant is somebody who does not fill their cup from infinite source and instead pulls from others. I'm sure you've met those people. I'm sure you've had those people in your life, at least had interactions with those people. Maybe you're one of those people. I have been one of those people, constantly seeking validation, external validation, because I felt so weak and deficient here. Guess what? It never fucking satisfies, does it? Because it's not intended to. Because the banana that I eat that might help my solar plexus in the moment doesn't give it the energy to sustain itself with any kind of longevity. I am feeling unloved, and so I seek the affections of others. I am feeling unable to nourish myself, so instead, I allow everyone to take advantage of me. Or I nurture others to my own detriment. I feel I do not exist, or do not have a right to exist. And so, I take huge risks with myself and with others. And every time I successfully survive another high-risk situation, I receive a boost of energy from that. But these are all finite sources to satisfy a hunger that's infinite. Remember, energy moves both directions. Both directions in the body. And in fact, swirls around these energy centers. Hey, Ray Ray. Hold on, where is mine right now? I've got a rad little black kyanite wand somewhere around here I usually keep with me. But I've got my blue kyanite too. You said kyanite, so now I'm going to pull all my kyanite out. Yes, absolutely. But again, pulling it through that is a finite source. These are tools to help us align, help us reconnect, help us clear our channels, but they are not the source that we are seeking. I think one of the biggest markers of energy imbalance is a feeling of lack. And where it is in your life is going to indicate what chakra needs your attention the most. But remember, again, it's a dynamic system. So if I am feeling like I'll go back again to talking about, raising my voice. If I feel unheard, if I am feeling unseen, or I feel like I've got low self-esteem or a deficiency here or whatnot, right? I may use my voice to boost my confidence, to weaponize my willpower, or just to be louder, to express it louder. That is going to affect my throat chakra as well. Thanks, Tori. You guys should see the back of it, actually. It's really cute. It's got buttons down the back, like as if the buttons were on the wrong... Yeah, it's really funny. It's a really funny shirt. I really like it. So, lack. What's the lack in a root chakra? So your root chakra is your grounding. It is your connection to the earth. It is literally your roots into the earth, and it is also the center from which feminine energy enters the body. We've got the earth energy pulling up into the system. So imbalances here in the root are lack of feeling safety, again, feeling like, even to the extreme of kind of surreal sense of not being in this world, not being of this world, not feeling right in this world, not feeling like you have any right to exist. You don't have a right to any of these other things. If you have a lack or really big traumas in the lower chakras, then you're probably going to have, or the root chakra, you're going to have this feeling that these things you don't even deserve these things. You don't deserve nurturing. You don't deserve willpower. You don't deserve love. You don't deserve to speak. This is where you're also going to see some pretty severe emotional disorders, mental disorders, if you are severe trauma in that root chakra. Because it allows you to weaponize all of your energy, right? In the physical body, it can manifest as lower digestive system issues in the hips, issues with the feet. You can struggle with constipation, bladder infections, elimination issues. But this is also where the fight or flight response comes from. But it is the, and not but, and it is the I am center. Thank you so much, everyone. And we've got so many busy people in here. So again, this is a CAYA space. For those of you who are new here, my name is Reverend Deborah, and this is our CAYA, C-A-Y-A, Come As You Are space. Because authenticity is the purest expression of your truth, of who you are. And that's what we seek. That's what we're looking for. We all deserve a safe space to show up just as we are, even if it's messy, even if it's silly, even if it's ridiculous, even if it's scary. However, to cultivate a safe space so that we can all share it, we must agree to approach each other with curiosity and willingness. If you do not have the capacity in this moment to approach others with curiosity and willingness, you are welcome to sit and listen, or find yourself somewhere else to be that you can engage more. Curiosity and willingness are the foundations for respect. In fact, I think curiosity and willingness are the ingredients in respect. We are all a bit ridiculous at times, love. And oftentimes we deny that ridiculousness because we think we have to show up in a particular way. Because we're afraid of judgment. Or because others are judgmental. And in a world where you can go find that fucking everywhere, it's important that we create spaces where we can show up and authentically and a little ridiculous or a little scared or a little sad and not feel judged or left out because of who we are in the moment. But again, the mark of a tolerant society is intolerance of intolerance. And just like if you were to go into a church or a temple screaming obscenities and insulting people, you would be ushered out. Not because you were not welcome in the temple, but because it's a matter of personal responsibility. Are you able to show up with curiosity and willingness so that you can be respectful of the space? And if you don't have the capacity, that's okay. There's other places for you to be so that you can learn those tools. But if you're ever going to learn those tools, again, you have to approach those tools with a willingness and a curiosity about them. And that's what we do in this space. We practice the tools to get you out of the trauma cycles. We practice the tools for self-care in the moment so you don't end up way deep down that rabbit hole doing and saying things that you always fucking regret. Is it going to happen? Are we going to make mistakes? Are we going to have bad days? Yeah, absolutely. But meeting ourselves with curiosity and willingness is a powerful, life-changing experience. Exactly, Leb. I was able to see Notre Dame before it burned. And honestly, when I was in that space, I was a little ridiculous. I was with a friend of mine. We were visiting Paris, and we had been walking all around town. And when I walked into that space, something bubbled up inside of me. The feeling, the energy, the air, the colors, the way that the sun... Sorry, I'm going back for a second. Not sorry. I'm going back for a second. Because the arches were so tall. There was so much space in there. And to me, in that moment, it reminded me of the inside of a body. For some reason, the arches reminded me of shoulders and the chest cavity. And I felt like I was in the heart. And it made me giggle. And it gave me chills. And it made everything surreal. And so I walked a little more slowly. And I touched everything like it was magic. You can't touch everything because it's also a really old building, right? So I touched the things that I could touch as if they were almost not real. And yeah, I looked a little ridiculous. I was giggling to myself, and I probably looked like I was high on something. But I was fully present and engrossed in that experience because I wanted to absorb that experience. I wanted to feel the subtle layers of that experience. The nuance of that place. And I'm so grateful I did. But I allowed myself to be authentic. Because if I had just been like every other tourist and just walked through and taken some pictures and been done, I would have missed it. The sheer size and weight of the doors in and of themselves was a powerful experience. Especially being somebody who grew up in the US. Yes, I travel around, but we don't have a lot of that old stuff here. And so it always takes me away when I see it. That's why I love to travel. And yeah, like I said, it can make you look a little ridiculous sometimes. Skipping down the cobblestone streets in Greece. Sliding. So the sidewalks in Athens, there's a large area of the town of Athens where the sidewalks are paved in marble. However, when it rains, it becomes like a slide. Like it's like whatever it's called, smooth marble. So when it rains, you imagine what happens. I went skiing in Athens. Every time we had to turn a corner, if there wasn't anybody around, I'd go poop, 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 and slide. Was it ridiculous? Yes. Did I fall on my ass? Yes. Did I get wet? Yes. Did my heart expand and my solar plexus and my sacral expand in ways that made me feel alive and connected and playful and light? Yes. Yes, Leb. Well, we didn't have the big giants here, you know. Or maybe we did, but they, you know, lived overseas. I don't know. And it is because we're new. Because we're a newer country and because we don't put value on those lasting structures. One of my favorite things about traveling was all of that history, all of the architecture, all of the... In Paris in particular, they have a garden. I forget what it's called. But in this garden, they have beehives. And there's like this whole gazebo that has all these beehives in it. And they have the different bees in like different drawers. It's this really fucking beautiful thing. But it's been there for a very long time. And so some of the trees and things like that in there too have been there for a very long time. And it's those experiences that when we sink into the subtle layers of them, it is when we change our quality, our experience of time itself. Leb, my dad is about the same. I think he might be 6'7". Quantum mechanics tells us that if we just rest our awareness on something, when we pay attention to something, we change its very nature. When I rest my attention on this cup, it changes at a molecular level. Quantum physics also tells us that time and space are relative to light. So if my attention is a light, is the light I shine on anything I give my attention to, then when I place that light on that thing, I change the very nature of it. And when I learn to change the nature of things, I recognize that I can also change the nature of time and space itself. Time is just an experience. How do you experience time? When you're driving in the car down a familiar street and you start daydreaming and suddenly you're home. How do you experience time when you are waiting for a really important phone call. How do you experience time when you're out with your friends and just having a fucking blast? How do you experience time when you're out with your friends and really not having a good time? Do you not experience time differently? Based on your state of being? Based on where you put your attention? Yes, it goes at different speeds. Your perception, your experience of time changes. If you have that power, why not use it intentionally? You can intentionally manipulate your reality. With your attention and your intention. Hey, Jeremy, sending you love, friend. That is a powerful, powerful thing that you have, that most of us are using unconsciously. One of my favorite ways to experience the effect of this is to give all of my attention to a particular task. How would you use it in a positive manner? All right, so one example I like is when I'm doing dishes. Doing dishes is one of the things that I either love or I hate, and I often fight with myself over it. So it creates tension. And it either creates tension because I'm forcing myself to do it, or it creates tension because it's not done, and it creates turmoil. It creates suffering. I create suffering around dishes. That's the reality, that's the truth. So, can I do it every single time? No, not always. I don't always have the capacity to do it. But if you have the capacity to do it, I invite you next time you take on a chore or a job that you don't enjoy. Suspend your judgment for a few moments and try to do this task as long as you can with all of your attention. All of your attention. That means all of your senses involved. Hey, Money G, what's up? Try this next time you're on the dishes. Pay attention to the smell of the soap. Watch the bubbles. Watch for them to pop. Even further, notice the iridescent sheen on the bubbles when light catches it and you see a little rainbow. Pay very close attention to the feeling of the soap and the water. Listen to the sound of the dishes or the water or the scrubby. Even use your hands to touch the dirty dishes and notice the bits of food stuck on there and all this. Bring all of your awareness, all of your attention into the task. And again, just see what happens. Set yourself a timer and do it for 5 minutes if you want to. Or just go into it and do it for as long as you can. Do what feels right to you that doesn't feel forced. It is the part where it starts to feel forced that it starts to lose its benefit, because it then goes back to creating tension. Remember, tension is created by both hatred and desire. Both create tension. The practice of bringing your attention to something is only about being in the present moment, being curious and willing for whatever arises, without the need to make anything happen or stop anything from happening. So again, John, if you're in that place where you're like, I just want to quit shortly after starting, then go ahead and set yourself a timer for 5 minutes. Or 10, or whatever it is. Give yourself that timer. And then sit with this practice of presence, full attention. Full attention. And just see what happens. You know what? If nothing happens, that's totally okay too. If you feel inclined, try it again. Try it for longer. Remember that if your mind is chattering away while you're doing it, your attention is being pulled away, aka it is creating tension in the mind. If you are holding your breath while you're doing it, trying to pay attention everywhere else, you are also creating tension. Yes, it is attention without expectation. In this practice, your intention can simply be to see what happens. Your intention could be to stay fully present with what the thing that you are doing is. Remember, your intention is your guiding light. That is your North Star. Your intention says, this is where I want to go. And in this case, it's, I want to do some dishes. Or I want to do a chore that I don't enjoy in this weird quantum mindfulness space. I want to try it out. Whatever your intention is, that is your North Star. Your attention is your compass. And you must realign your compass again and again and again and again. Anytime your attention gets pulled off track. When we are not used to this practice, our brain is busy, our body pulls us elsewhere, we get triggered and distracted by external things. If you're somebody who says, I can't meditate because I can't find a quiet space to meditate, I invite you to refocus. Bring your intention, which can just be to be present, just be to meditate, just be to experience it, just be to whatever. It can be to finish the dishes. Or not. There is your North Star. And you bring your attention back to your North Star. Every time your brain starts to go, you know what, this is a bunch of bullshit, I don't think this is working, I think this and this and that fucking lady, blah, 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 blah. Oh, my attention was going off elsewhere. None of that is really important right here in this moment. If you are doing a 5-minute timer and you're doing your dishes for those 5 minutes and your goal is to just do your intention is to just do the practice for 5 minutes and that's it and nothing more and whatever happens, happens. Then it's your responsibility. This is why I say you are your guru, because there is not a guru out there who can force you to put your attention back where your intention is. That is you, boo. And in this way, you are your guru. Because of that, you are ultimately your guru. Can you receive information and understanding from other people? Absolutely. But you have to be the one to do the thing, to make the choice. So, the entire practice is bringing our attention back to our intention again and again and again. And whatever arises, we meet it with curiosity and willingness. Curiosity and willingness. Even if it's negative self-talk, meet it with curiosity and willingness. And if this is difficult, the curiosity and willingness thing, then allow it to just be a passing cloud in the sky. In your mind's eye. There are so many ways to anchor your attention on your intention. There are so many tools that you can use. Please don't just pick one. Try them all out. And I am not the end all be all for all the different types too. You might find something that works extremely well for you to bring your attention back. I recently heard somebody talk about people with neurodivergence. Neurodivergence? Yeah, neurodivergency? That focusing on the breath can be really difficult. So, luckily the breath is not the only thing you can focus on, right? I can focus on my breath. I can focus on my heartbeat. I can focus on the sound of the wind through the window. Neurospicy, there you go. Hey, thank you, Troy. Mwah. I love you, friend. So choose your anchor and don't feel stuck. If listening to the breath, because when people teach meditation, right, you may hear somebody say, okay, close your eyes and focus on your breath. But if you're neurospicy and it doesn't work, and your brain is busy, my brain used to do the same thing too. Here's the thing. Try listening to your breath. That doesn't work? Add something else. Add something else on top of that, and something else on top of that. If you need 6 different anchors to keep yourself in the present moment, use 6 fucking anchors. What it means is that your energy and your movement and this stuff is so habitual and so powerful that regardless of even your conscious choice to slow the fucking train down, it is still barreling through. Yes, that's another one. Counting helps me breathing intentionally. So let me show you guys what I do when I am in the middle of a CPTSD episode. When I'm having an anxiety attack, when I've got that shit rears up and takes a hold. If you've experienced it, you know, or even just an emotional thing that comes up and takes hold. It's not so easy to just go, oh, I'm just going to put that down. Oh, that was just a reaction in my belly. Oh, that was just... Sometimes we feel completely taken over by it, completely absorbed by it. So, this is what I do. First, I listen to my breath. First, I start breathing. I start taking big, deep breaths. And if that anxiety is still fighting to come out of my belly, which a lot of times it is, I put my hand on wherever it is I'm feeling that tension or that activity in my body. I'm still breathing, and now I'm touching the area that is feeling uncomfortable, that's making all this activity happen, okay? If this is still not enough, I will add another somatic piece. So tapping on the heart, tapping on wherever you're feeling the thing. Also, one of my favorite is to touch the thumb to each finger. And with this one, I count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, whichever way you want to do it. You don't have to count. You can do it any other way that works for you. If I am in the middle of a in the middle of an anxiety attack and it is overwhelming, this is what I am doing. I'm sitting here counting my fingers. I am putting my hand, my right hand, because this is my action. I am soothing, treating, caring for, protecting, taking care of this part of myself that is way out of balance right now. I am being the compassionate caretaker. Listening to my breath, counting my fingers, tapping my fingers, holding space for this thing. It helps me keep my attention here. And if my brain is still busy, then add a verbal mantra or start counting out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2. Nope. This one is really distracting, by the way, especially if you're not used to doing it. And I find that when I'm in a high anxiety episode, it gets harder to do, which means that it does take my attention to do it. Remember that I was talking the other day about a study that was done, I believe it was in the early 2000s, when we really had the advent of all the cell phones and all the screens. And there was this question of whether or not our brains can actually multitask. There was a really cool study done on it, and it proved that we don't multitask well. When we give something our complete and undivided attention, we are using our full available capacity. When we split that attention, our effectiveness and our ability to process the information and memorize and remember and experience the things severely decreases. So, your brain only has the capacity to actually do one thing well at a time. So if you are neurospicy, or if you're not neurospicy, or you have trauma that leads you to being neurospicy, you're used to splitting your attention in a bunch of different ways. And it's been for your protection. It's your body and your mind and your heart's way of keeping you safe. My brain is really spicy sometimes. Rude as fuck. Or just downright mean. Or belittling and telling me how powerless I am and I can't do anything right. And you guys all know the talk, right? But that, in and of itself, is taking your finite resource of attention. And if you hang out here with me, I'm going to keep sharing tools so that you can reclaim your right as captain. You didn't come here to be, well, maybe you did. Maybe you did come here to be fractured into all of these ego selves and only operate as your masked selves. Maybe that is your experience in this life. But for the number of people I see waking up inside of their egos and behind their masks and going, what the fuck? This is not how I want to live. This isn't even me anymore. Tells me that there are a lot of us who are here intentionally to express ourselves, to be that authentic self, and to come home to that truth. Thanks, John. I've been called a shapeshifter many times. I have so if you guys are not, I don't know if you're familiar with what a process called internal family systems. It's a psychology theory, which I thought I invented. I was in therapy sometime in my 20s, and I was like, I'm a storyteller, I'm a writer, I'm a very visual person. And so in my exploration with poetry and with storytelling and exploring myself, I started writing about my devil and angel, right over here, my good and bad selves, my gross nature dualism, right? As I got to know these two, I started to realize that there were even more subtle layers of these two. I named them initially through my poetry, hope and hell. These were the names that I gave them. And it turned out that hope is actually comprised of several different parts of myself. Just as hell is also comprised of several different parts of myself. And over time, through exploration, storytelling, meditation, writing, creative stuff, I uncovered what I now call my pirate ship. All these different parts of myself. Just a bunch of pirates out here in the middle of the ocean, trying to find my way home, trying to find our way home. But on my pirate ship, I am learning to make space for every single person, every single part of me. And I'm recognizing that the ones that create trouble are not doing it because they want us to sink. They're doing it because they're hurt, or because they're tired, or because they're scared. Or they think it's the best possible thing for you. And when you start having conversations with yourself, you may realize that parts of yourself don't even realize that you're a grown-ass person now. You're no longer the 5-year-old self. The reason we trigger into the past self and behave like a toddler behave like a 5-year-old when you're 50 is because that's your defense mechanism. That is your ability to keep yourself safe. And for all intents and purposes, that part of you never matured past that stage. Why? Usually because that tactic somehow works and continues working for you. Think about the, again, 50-year-old woman in Starbucks who's acting like a 5-year-old over using the wrong milk. And you might look at her and go, oh my gosh, that is so inappropriate. Clearly it's not working for you. But the reality is, to some degree, it has continued working for her enough for her not to recognize that it needs to change. Or, as we also do too, we recognize that it doesn't fucking work for us. We don't know how to change it. We don't know how to address it. We don't know how to take care of that part of ourselves so it feels safe and doesn't have to revert to being 5 years old again. So when you see, again, like offering compassion to the asshole, when you see a part of yourself manifest that you go, you stupid, immature, please, just for today. If you want to go back to badgering yourself and being your own bully, go ahead and do that tomorrow. Just for today, when those parts of yourself come up, I invite you to meet them like a compassionate parent, like a loving caregiver, like the person you needed, like the person you need right now, like the person that 5-year-old needed. This is how we reparent ourselves, and this is how we reprogram ourselves. Again, not by force, not by control, not by creating a battle within ourselves, because what did my mom say? If we create a battle within ourselves, it is a war we will wage our entire life. And she asked me, is that really how you want to live? No. Of course not. I do want every part of me to feel safe and heard and loved. Don't we all? But I'm telling you now, before you get stuck on it, that loving one part of you while condemning and torturing another is not going to bring you closer to balanced and closer to home, closer to whole. It is going to keep you in the response loop, because that energy, go back again to it. This is not your body attacking you. This is not your brain attacking you. This is not your emotions trying to ruin your life. These expressions of self in the breath, in the body, in the being. These expressions are petitions for release. Within you is very likely one or several prisoners. Parts that you have stowed away, consciously or unconsciously, regardless of why. Again, doesn't matter as much right this second for why. We can explore that layer later. That layer later, yeah. But when these things arise, the first thing that we all need is compassion. And I promise you, compassion goes far, far, far further, spreads way more, right, across the self, supports you way longer than arrogance or belittling does. I heard it somewhat recently. Somebody said that it's good to ask ourselves if the choices we are making are inclusive or exclusive. This is a really simple way to decide how to treat yourself, how to respond to yourself and to others. Is this inclusive of all parts of me? Or is it exclusive? Please don't expect change to happen overnight, healing to happen overnight. There is no magic pill that I have yet found. But the closest thing are those 4 pillars. Your intention, your attention, your curiosity, and your willingness. Cultivate these, and you have the ability to find your way home. I gotta remember the name. I gotta remember that term. What's the term? Anybody know it offhand? the term for the longing for a home that you never had or never existed or something like that, longing for a home beyond the home that you were born in or something like that. There's a term for it. But that in and of itself is my understanding of the nature of our purpose as humans, of what we're doing here as humans, is to experience that journey home to ourselves. And if every person we meet along the way inside of ourselves, if we keep making enemies of them, they're going to lead us astray. You need all parts of self to make it home. You can't make it home without every part. Does that mean that you have to encourage the part of you that has an addictive behavior that's totally unhealthy? No. Because as a loving, compassionate caregiver, parent to yourself, you would never let yourself, you'd never let your child or child's self poison themselves, would you? And yet we do that to ourselves. We do that to ourselves in response to our need, our desire, our longing for comfort, for security, for safety. Hiraeth, Google says it's Hiraeth. No, I can't even say it. Dang it. I'll have to look it up too. That longing. And what the biggest ruse, what the biggest trick of all time to lead you away from home and tell you that home is outside of yourself. There are a lot of current and old structures that misinform us about the location of home. Yes, a homesickness for a home to which you cannot return, or a home which maybe never was. Exactly. This, to me, is the nature of, again, our experience here, of our journey here as humans. Because you can't ever find home in another person. And if you feel lonely, you're going to bring that to every single place that you go. One of my favorite old jokes as a traveler myself, there was a common joke we used to say about, and it was essentially that this young man comes into a town. It's a new town he's traveling through, and he stops and he asks the old guy sitting in front of the hardware store. He says, "Hey, what's this town like? I'm new here." And the old man says, "Well, what was it like where you came from?" He said, "Oh, it was so fucking crowded and busy, and people were rude all the time. The weather was terrible, this and that, right? Food wasn't even that great. Just looking for a better place to be." And he said, "Yeah, well, this town's a lot like that." A couple days later, it's his normal spot in front of the hardware store, obviously. So a couple days later, a different traveler comes through. And this young man says the same. "Hey, how you doing? What's this town like? Can you tell me about this town? I'm just traveling through. Looking for a new place to be." And the old man says, "Well, what was it like where you came from?" He said, "It was lively. There was a lot going on. People were generally nice, I just kind of want to change the scenery." I said, "Yeah, this place is a lot like that too." I'm sure you've heard the sayings, wherever you go, there you are. Right? We have so many sayings in our culture to talk about the fact that we carry us with us everywhere. Leb, have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us and for the conversation. And if we feel that lack within us, lack of home, lack of security, lack of love, lack of safety, it is very, very, very difficult to find these things in our external world because we tell ourselves internally that they do not exist, or we do not deserve them, or they're not for us, or whatever the story is. But true power is personal power. True freedom is to have your attention and your intention aligned in such a way with your truth that things can't pull you off away from that. If you cultivate your intention and your attention, and you meet things with curiosity and willingness, you're very difficult to manipulate. Because you're present, you're aware, and you're paying attention. There are many structures, again, in this world that seek to take your attention, to manipulate your intention, and to keep you focused on the intention they give you. They tell you should have, not what your truth really is. And some of us go our entire lives without examining that. And again, if that's your shtick and you don't want to examine it, don't look in the mirror. You don't have to. Nobody is forcing you to do anything. But the mirror is always there. The opportunity is always there. I would never force somebody on the path of coming home to themselves, because the truth is when you start looking inward, start looking at yourself, some of these things are scary. Some of the things are downright terrifying. Some of them are really painful. It is not an easy journey if you take it seriously. Right? Ironic. Shenanigan shaman. Yes, you can take it seriously and still have serious shenanigans. Okay, fair. There has been talk more and more recently about the dangers of mindfulness. And I'm glad the conversation is happening. Because there are. And in this world right now where we have so many people waking up and these things starting to become very apparent in their lives, whether it be tension in your life or ascension in your life, right? If you're experiencing any level of what we are all going through on this planet, you know that you have a choice in the matter, at least. Spiritual psychosis can absolutely happen. That is why I am such a big proponent of gentle, 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 gentle. Curious and willing. Patient and compassionate. Because when you go into the space of mindfulness, when you begin this journey inward, to reach the more subtle layers of self, you need to approach them with more subtlety. If you go through your deep, dark recesses with see, the analogy is just images. I just imagine somebody going and swinging and just like totally fucking shit up and accidentally hurting the pieces that are in there that are vulnerable, that you've been keeping safe on purpose. When you start doing this internal excavation, if you have locked parts of yourself away to keep them safe, you may not want to go inward. It may be scary to go inward. That's, some people talk about it like the dark night of the soul or ego. It is really difficult when you recognize that your identity is based on something that is misaligned with your truth. To evaluate, to reevaluate, and to re-examine ourselves is probably one of the biggest heavy lifting jobs that we can do in our lives. But it's also the most rewarding. And again, you are your guru, not me. So it's up to you what to do with your life. That's why I would never push anybody on this path. You want to take this path? Take your time. There's no rush. Time and space are relative to your experience, to your perception. Of course. Thank you for being here, Tanya. There are a lot of people out here in the world who will try to sell you their way of doing things. There are a lot of people out there who will who will try to jump scare you, right? Or there are a lot of people out there who will try to bait you to buy something from them, to follow their program, to join their club or cult or whatever. Like there's a lot of people out there telling you that they have the answers for you. They have the way to do it for you. And they can make a lot of money or become very famous or whatnot through doing that. But that is serving to them. Because what serves you is your truth and your path, and nobody can decide that for you except for you. And it does require exploration. It requires the courage to leave a sense of security and safety. But if you have been feeling safe and secure in chaos or suffering, maybe you might consider like stepping out into the uncomfortable. Or you can stay in chaos and suffering or lack or fear if it's too scary to step out. And that is the piece. That is the piece that can lead us down the wrong path. Because when we treat ourselves, that's a level of disrespect. There are parts of myself who I know, and all of us carry them, that are vulnerable, that are sensitive and fragile. If you are going to meet them, you need to meet them accordingly. Otherwise, you run the risk of re-injuring and pushing them away. Remember, tension is created both in desire as well as fighting, pulling in and pushing out. So instead of approaching yourself with any need to fucking do anything, try curiosity and willingness first. Sit in mindfulness, sit in meditation, sit with your breath, sit with the sounds around you, and whatever shows up, let it show up. Tanya, I am in Oregon. I don't offer them right now, but I will be offering them possibly later this year, maybe next year. But I do offer intensives where people can come for a week to 3 weeks. I used to do longer, but now I don't do quite as long. And we can basically revamp habits, tools, triggers. It's a really, really cool, it's my favorite way to work with people because it's totally immersive. Beyond that, however, there are ways to work directly with me. You can either grab one of 3 levels of membership. And remember that each level of membership, the price is based on how much time you get with me. That's what I charge for now. I give the information away for free. But if we are working directly together, if we are working privately together, that requires more of my time and my attention, and I'm happy to give it. There needs to be an exchange. Why does there need to be an exchange? Because I am coming to you with a commitment to be there for you, to show up for you, with a commitment to use my tools to assist, to guide. I have tried giving these things away before, and what I found more often is that people who were willing to come without an exchange and didn't want to give an exchange did not want to put in the energy and the effort on themselves. I have found across the board that it is indicative. If you do not want to offer an exchange for something, it is also indicative of how much you are willing to invest in it. Now, I did not say that if you can't pay money, then you're not invested. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's some capitalist nonsense, and we also don't do that shit here. So, Go check out the memberships. You can find them on my Patreon page. The link is in my bio on TikTok as well as on YouTube and Instagram. You can also subscribe here on TikTok. Remember that because TikTok takes at least 50% or more of my revenue, the prices here on TikTok will go up to account for that in September. But the prices on Patreon will always stay the same. There are different perks for different levels of engagement and interaction. You can check those all out on Patreon. They're all outlined. Yeah. I am particular about who I choose to work with. Of course, you too, Money. I am particular. And it is about a healthy boundary for me. Because it's not appropriate or not helpful to you or to me for me to expend my energy when you are not interested in engaging with the practices, with the tools. And Diana, I love you so much. But just because you have negative balance in your bank account doesn't mean that you're not very much interested and willing to engage with the tools and apply them. This is about a commitment to yourself. And at this point in my process and in my journey, I don't work privately with anybody who is not willing to make that commitment to themselves. And that commitment could be as small as 5 minutes a day, a single tiny little practice every day. I don't need you to suddenly have a 3-hour sadhana every single day. But I do need you. You need you to make that commitment and to show up for that commitment, because that's how you're going to build the trust necessary to do the subtle, deeper work. Without that trust, that is how you re-injure yourself. That is how, without listening to yourself, without that trust, without that interaction, without that understanding of self and compassion and respect for yourself, that is how we end up, pushing ourselves further away from home. Thank you, Tanya. I love you guys so much. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you guys more than you realize. The process for me of my path from being a little girl and wanting to become a nun to leaving the church and studying different religions and studying psychology and philosophy and diving deep into how and why we function as humans and how to address it and all these different tools and collecting this toolbox, all of this stuff. All of this stuff I have done because it made me feel better, because it healed and repaired things that were so painful and causing me a great amount of suffering and causing suffering to other people in my life, causing chaos in my reality. Like, holy fuck. But uncovering authenticity is not something that we just show up at one day. I really believe that it is a constant, it is a state of being, one that we must be present with to maintain. When we allow our intention to be pulled away and we allow our attention to be pulled away by said intention, the authenticity cannot express itself with that much tension happening. But you guys give me the opportunity to show up authentically. It is through this that I get to be me. The me that I told myself I wasn't allowed to be. I've been a reverend, an interfaith minister for 10 years now. And for the most part, I practiced quietly. I've done a couple of ceremonies. I did, I worked with birth and with death as well. I do energy work. There are a lot of ways where I practiced as a reverend, but I was so afraid to share the truth of what I have come to understand, of what I've experienced, and the tools and why and how they've helped me. If you follow me and you see my content, you will see that it is happy stuff, cool stuff, and also the shitty stuff and the hard stuff. Because it's not about showing up as some ego cardboard cutout. Just like it's not about me filling my bank account or taking advantage of you in any fucking way at all. Because I've been taken advantage of. And there's probably plenty of people out there who are already taking advantage of you. When I was a little girl, I wanted to change the world. I wanted to save the world. I wanted to fix the world. I wanted to make sure that every single person in the world was fed, clothed, safe, happy, and healthy. And loved, and felt it, and knew it. That's a tall order, boy. Whew. It's a tall order. But I finally found, it took me years of exploring, but I finally found the thing that I can offer that can give you that. But I can't do it for you. I can only offer you what I have, what worked for me, and then it's up to you to cultivate it. Now remember, I am not everyone's cup of tea. It's also why I'm selective with who I work with, and you should be too. If you resonate with someone, you are far more likely to hear and understand what they are communicating with you than if you do not resonate with them at all. Because that resonance is your truth, is your authenticity, is my unique and beautiful song, right? That I sing and only I sing. Now, if we are in a chorus, obviously there are people who are going to resonate at a very similar tone than me, and we're going to be next to each other in the chorus. And then there's going to be another pocket of us over there on the other side of the chorus, right? You know how it works. So listen. Listen for the sounds, the songs, the people that resonate with you. And just turn your attention away from those that don't. It is in this way that we manifest the world that we want. It is in this way that we manifest our truth, our reality, that we find our purpose and we come home to ourselves. Diana, I am on the southern side of, so closer to California than Washington. Southern half of the state. I do. I want to go out in the world and I want to tear down the structures and the systems that keep people victimized. I want to create regulation that takes all the poisons out of our food. But I can't go and do all of those things by myself. I can't change the powers that be or the systems of the world. But we collectively, we each can do that for ourselves in our inner reality. And when we do that, it manifests in our outer reality. You can fight the powers that be, sure. You can fight fire with fire, and they will continue to be a fire. Sometimes, as we learn here in Oregon with wildfires, some wildfires need to burn themselves out. Nice, Dana. Jessica, would I work with someone like that? Someone who fights fire with fire, or what in particular? Not willing to make the commitment. What do you mean? Ask me. Go ahead again. I do like to work with all different kinds of people. But it's not my responsibility to convince you of anything. And in my career of coaching and counseling people and working with people, I have met a lot of people who show up and want me to give them the quick fix without them having to do any work, or want me to convince their parts that are defiant, right? But it's not my job. Jessica, okay, fire with fire. He thinks he has multiple personalities. I think it's his ego speaking. He wants help. I don't have the answers for him. So, in our current day and age, any talk of separate parts of self often very quickly leads into, oh, you have BPD. Oh, you're bipolar, right? We go immediately to, you have mental illness and something is obviously wrong with you. I invite you, and actually maybe this would help, offer him what's called internal family systems. Find a website, find a book. Audible, if you use Audible has several books by, now I'm thinking of the other guy's name. Internal Family Systems, IFS. Internal Family Systems is my favorite way to look at the self, because it recognizes that we are not a mono character. I am not just me. I am actually comprised of several facets of myself. And it is in my denial of all these facets of myself that I end up causing myself tension and suffering and hurting parts of myself. Versus if I can integrate all parts of myself, then I am a whole authentic self. And what I am seeing, again, with the kind of ascension symptoms that are going on and the earth changing and us collectively evolving, is a lot of people waking up to the different parts of self and feeling crazy for it. Could you need medication and be diagnosable as a thing? Maybe. Could you need other types of therapies? There's all kinds of things for everybody. But I had some of these diagnoses. And IFS was my truth. Internal Family Systems was my truth. Because the diagnoses and the treatments treated the symptoms of me not loving myself enough to accept and acknowledge all these parts of myself. Me not knowing how to integrate the parts of myself that I didn't know even how to talk to. How do you integrate rage? How do you integrate the desire to hurt others? How do you integrate the desire, some part of yourself that wants to steal things from other people, wants to hurt other people? How do you integrate these parts of yourself, the part of yourself that is constantly belittling you? How do you integrate those parts of yourself? Internal Family Systems has all kinds of tools for it. And like I said before when I was talking about it, I thought I made up internal family systems. Sometime in my 20s, I was in therapy and I was like, hey, so I did this thing and I made up all these characters, and I realized that over the years that these are parts of myself and I use stories to interact with them and talk to them. And she's like, yeah, so you practice internal family systems. What? What is that? She's like, oh, you came to that on your own? Yeah, well, I was different parts of self. And we acknowledge that we have different parts of self. So it's a really beautiful way, and it takes out the you're broken, there's something wrong with you part of it, and instead replaces it with there are so many parts of you that need your attention and your love. And you can integrate the negative self-talk part. You can integrate the rageful, violent part. They have a purpose, and they're usually behaving in that way for a reason. Sometimes you have to go and actually listen for the reason. Sometimes you can just move through the reason. Jessica, they want to medicate him. This doesn't work. I'll look it up. Yes. So again, I am on a live where all I can see are your texts. So I am always very, very apprehensive about telling anybody to do anything in particular. I won't offer coaching direction unless we are working privately together. I am not here to replace any professional in your life, whether it's a coach, whether it's a family member, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a whoever, or a guru that you have. Not at all. Don't follow me. I mean, follow me, but don't follow me. I am a channel, a library, conduit for these things. So, if he is seeing a doctor and they want to medicate, and he is okay with doing that, then for all intents and purposes, go ahead and try. You can always practice mindfulness and study IFS. You can always do these things while you are taking medications, while you're using other therapies. In fact, I would highly suggest, no matter what you're doing, to start integrating mindfulness into your life. Because it is these practices, aligning your intention and your attention with your truth, and meeting whatever comes up in your life with curiosity and willingness. These are the foundation for absolutely everything else. Self-love, self-trust, a happy, healthy life, a career that you love, better relationships. Okay, Jessica, you tried it makes them worse. See if you can, I don't know where you're located, but see if you can find somebody who works with IFS or is familiar with IFS. Usually they'll have they have training specifically for licensed therapists who want to learn IFS. And so there are IFS counselors out there. I don't know what they do as far as insurance or charging or anything like that. I can't, that's where my information stops. I know they exist. I would highly suggest going to find them. But if you use Audible, you can also just purchase the books and listen to some of his books. Again, and he will say in the books, these do not replace a professional. Here in the West, we treat our symptoms by dampening the symptoms. That rarely leads us to the root cause. But unless we work directly together, I can't give a whole lot more than that. And that's for the general safety of the collective, right? And it's about responsibility. I don't want somebody to take something here that I said and end up in a worse situation, or the worst situation, because it wasn't actually meant for them. So, as we work closer and closer together, the layers at which we can get to are deeper and deeper and deeper. Again, I ask that you show up with curiosity and willingness, more for yourself than anything else, and that you make the commitment to yourself, for yourself more than anybody else. Because if you're going to meet yourself honestly, you need to be willing to hold space for yourself no matter what shows up. If you're going to do this job of healing your different parts, of coming home, you have to have trust. Because there are parts of you that have lost trust. Lost trust in you, lost trust in other people, lost trust in the world. But trust allows our vulnerable parts to speak to us. And the way that we meet them when they do extend trust to us determines whether or not they're going to keep speaking to us. Tori, have a great day. I was actually just looking at the time too. So I am going to hop off here. Any last questions? Remember, let's see, today is Wednesday. So tonight we have our, one of our weekly group coaching sessions. Our group coaching sessions are Wednesday and they're still Saturday. Wednesday and Saturday until I move it. Unless I moved it. I gotta move them around. So if you want to join us for group coaching, we have wonderful Jessica. We have twice weekly group coaching in our Discord. It's a Zoom call that we get on. But if you'd like to join the Discord and get into the weekly group coaching, you can join the Discord for free. But the weekly group coaching is the second tier membership on Patreon or here on TikTok. That first level membership gets you the replays to all the classes. It gets you, which you can actually, by the way, go preview those now. June 1st, I am turning all of the replays into membership level, into that first membership level. So it'll be all those replays, plus with that first membership level, you can ask me for personally created content. So you can send me a message and ask me a question about something like this or about a chakra or about whatever the heck it is, and I will create direct content to answer for you that you can download and save for yourself. The link to my Patreon is on my bio. And then that third tier of membership gets you a private coaching session with me at once every month. And the memberships are priced severely lower than I normally charge for these things a la carte. And why? That's because I want to make this sustainable. Remember, as always, if you cannot make the dollar bill amount on any of this, please always reach out to me. Not only am I flexible, but I encourage trade. And I have some services I need. So if you have editing or tech support stuff, I need somebody to, probably some Discord modding, and other things like that. So. Have a wonderful day, Diana, and to all of you. I love you all so much. Thank you for joining me, for holding space, for bringing your beautiful selves here. Yep. I love it, Gigi. I adore you. Thank you. Regular 1 hour coaching is normally $99. That's 1 hour, normally $99. That third level of membership is $55 a month over on Patreon and will not change. That includes the $99 value single coaching, the twice weekly group coaching. That's 8 coaching sessions per month. Group coaching sessions. All right. I don't have my water here. I need to go get water and I need to go get some food. I'm going to bring my citrine with me today. I hope you bring your chakra mudra, your solar plexus chakra mudra with you today. Feel free to make me a video too if you are using the mudra or if you're using any of these tools. Feel free to tag me in them. I love to see everybody using their stuff. If you have any questions, again, let me know. You can always reach out. I love you so much. I hope you feel that too. I hope you feel that love from yourself at least a little bit today. Okay? Meet yourself just for today with curiosity and willingness, especially in the hard moments. You can go back to bitching at yourself tomorrow. Okay? All right, my friends, I love you so much. Good night, YouTube. Good night, Instagram. And good night, TikTok. You're very welcome, Jessica.